Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what keyword to be used for creating a child class of an interface? Let me answer. In order to create a child class of an interface, the child class should use a keyword known as implements keyword. So let me practically demonstrate this one for you. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE. Here, I'm going to create an interface first. So I'll just right click here and create an interface. I'll select an interface option. I'll just name this interface as interface A or something. Okay, just give some, I'm just giving some random name. Okay, click on finish. The interface will be created. So the interface has been created. So now in this interface, I'll create a method or some sample methods. Okay. And I can create some sample variables and methods. Int a is equal to 10. Okay. Int b is equal to 20. Some two variables and some methods. Public void sample 1. The methods in the interface will not have any body, guys. Okay. Public void sample 2. They cannot have the body. Okay. If you try to create the body, you will get an error because by default, the methods in the interface are by default abstract and the variables in the interface are by default static and final. Okay, hence I have to finalize, I have to initialize this variable with value and I cannot update this value anymore. Okay, so I created some variables and methods inside an interface. Fine. Now, if I have to create a class that is a child class for this particular interface, I have to use implements keyword. Okay, so I'm going to create a class I class, I'll say. Click on finish. Now the class has been created. And if I have to make this particular class a child class of this interface that I have created here, have to use which keyword? So for making a particular class, a child class of another class, we generally use extends keyword. But here in this case, I have to make this class a child class of not another class. It's an interface. So if I have to make a class, a child class of an interface, I should not be using extends keyword. Rather, I have to use implements keyword. The answer is implements. Okay, the answer for the question is implements. What keyword to be used for creating a child class of an interface? If you are creating a child class of a class, then you are going to use extends keyword. But if you are creating a child class for an interface, then you have to use implements keyword. Okay, in place of extends, you have to use implements followed by the interface name. Just give the interface name. That's it. Okay. Now this is the child class which is implementing the interface name. I'm getting this error. Why? Because there are some undefined, okay, unimplemented methods in the parent interface that have to be implemented in the child class. That's why I'm getting the error. So once I implement them, public void sample one in the child class of this interface, the error will be gone. One more method is there, public void sample2, the error will be gone now. Once I implement the second method, you see the error is gone here. Okay. So what is the keyword that I have to use for making a class, a child class of an interface? Implements keyword, not extends. A lot of people will answer this as extends, thinking that this class is a child class of, generally a class to be a child class of another class, we use extends keyword. But in Java, if you have to make a class, a child class of an interface, you should not be using extends. In place of extends, we have to use implements. Okay. That's why a lot of people get confused. Okay. So we have to answer it carefully. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. That is what keyword to be used for creating a child class of an interface. The answer is implements keyword. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain about abstract keyword in Java. Let me answer. First of all, abstract keyword is nothing but a non-access modifier in Java. In Java, we have several modifiers, and these modifiers can be classified into two types. One is access modifier. Other one is non-access modifier. These are the two modifiers categories we have in Java. Under access modifiers, we have this public, private, okay, default, and protected. These are the four access modifiers that come under the access modifiers category. And coming to the non-access modifiers category, we have static, final, and abstract. So as you can clearly see that abstract is one of the modifiers in Java. In special, abstract will fall into the non-access modifiers category. Hence, I mentioned here as abstract is a non-access modifier in Java. Okay, that's it. So next about abstract keyword. Okay, I have to explain a lot about this abstract keyword, guys. Okay, so the next thing is abstract can be used before methods and classes. Okay, and you cannot use the abstract modifier or keyword before variable. It can only be used before methods and classes. I'm going to practically show you all these things one by one. So I'm saying here that you can specify this abstract keyword or modifier before methods or classes, but not before variables. Okay, let me prove you that. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE. Here, I'm going to create a class. I'll just name this class as class sample. Okay, just giving some name. Click on finish. The class will be created in a while. So it's loading. Just wait, guys. Okay, the class has been created. Now inside this class, I'll create some methods. Public void sample1 method. Okay. And I'll just write some print statement saying inside sample1. Okay. Then create one more method, public void sample2 method. And here also I'll mention system.out.println inside sample. So create one more method. I think this will be the last method for this example. Sample3. I'll just write down system.out.println inside sample3. And here I'll create some variables. Int a is equal to some 10. Okay, that's it. You can also create multiple variables. Int b is equal to 20. That's fine. Okay, you can create any number of variables and any number of methods inside this class. Now, I mentioned here that abstract modifier or keyword can be specified or mentioned before methods and classes. So, what happens when I mention, okay, what happens when I mention abstract modifier before a method, okay? Method specified with abstract modifier cannot be implemented or cannot have the method body. Here, all these methods I created, 3 methods, sample1, sample2, sample3 are implemented here. You see, they have the method body. Whatever I'm selecting is the method body. I'll choose one of the method. Out of these multiple methods I have in this class, let's say I'll choose the second method here, sample2, and I'll just add a keyword or abstract modifier. Okay, modifier or keyword known as abstract here. The moment I add that, you're going to get an error here. For this particular method, we are getting an error. The reason behind the error is abstract methods cannot contain the method body, or we cannot implement the abstract methods. Abstract methods only have to be defined, but they cannot have the body or implementation. I have to remove this selected part. I cleared it out and put a semicolon here. Okay, abstract methods only to be declared, but they should not contain method body. They cannot be implemented. They have to be only defined like this. Whatever I showed you, right? Like this, the methods have to be defined. Other methods are not abstract methods. So they have the implementation and all those stuff, but the method which is specified with abstract modifier should not be implemented. It cannot contain the method body. Okay, only it need to be declared. Okay, defined otherwise. Fine, that's good. So next thing is that the class, okay, the next point here is class containing or the classes containing at least one. If there is at least one abstract method, okay, at least one also abstract method is there inside a class, it's compulsory that this particular class, okay, this particular class also need to be specified as abstract. Okay, first thing is that when you mention abstract here before a method, you're going to get a compiler error for this method saying abstract methods do not specify method body. For that, I have to remove the method body. Okay. Now, In this class, I have 2 abstract methods. Even one is also there. No problem. At least one abstract method. I'll just only make it one just to prove you that. Okay. Here only one abstract, like I'll remove the abstract keyword here. Only one abstract method is there. Okay. Remaining all are non-abstract methods. They have the implementation. Classes containing. Okay. If you provide abstract, methods cannot contain the body, you got the error. But still after providing, after removing the method implementation also, still the error is coming at this level. The reason here is the classes containing at least one abstract method should be of abstract type. You can hover the mouse on the sample2 and you can see that abstract method sample2 in type class sample can only be defined by an abstract class. That means only abstract classes can contain the abstract methods. At least one abstract method is there. For that, before the class also, you have to mention the abstract keyword or modifier. Then the error is gone. Okay. Two things. Abstract methods cannot contain a method body. Second thing is class containing at least one abstract method should be of abstract type only or should be specified with abstract modifier. Okay. So now it's very clear that abstract modifier or keyword can be specified before a method and before a class also. Okay. In what circumstances you got the idea. Along with that, there's one more thing. Can we specify the abstract modifier before a variable? No. If you try to do so, you're going to get a compiler error. Illegal modifier compiler error will come. So abstract modifier cannot be specified before a variable. And if you try to do so, you'll get a compiler error. Okay. Saying that illegal modifier. You can only specify the abstract modifier before methods and classes, but not before a variable. Okay. That's what is the point. Then for that particular abstract class containing at least one abstract method or whatever it is, you cannot create an object, guys. For abstract classes, we cannot create an object. Okay. For abstract classes, we cannot create an object. For that, I'll create another class and just name this as demo class. With main method, I'll create. And inside this method, just remove this stuff, minimize this so that you can see both the classes side by side. So can I create an object directly for this abstract class? A class which is specified with the abstract modifier. Can I create an object? New class sample. When I try to create an object for this abstract class, I'm going to get a compiler error saying that you see the new keyword in Java can be used for creating an object for any class. But when I try to create an object for the class, here I'm getting a compiler error saying cannot instantiate the type. You cannot create object for abstract classes. Okay. Though you give the full, object reference and, declare that with the abstract class and all, nothing will happen, guys. The same error will continue. Here saying that you cannot create an object for this abstract class. For abstract classes, we cannot create objects. Okay. So I have commented it out because the error cannot be resolved, guys. There is no other way. There's no way to create an object for the abstract classes. Java will not allow you to create objects for the abstract classes. Okay. So child classes. Okay. Child classes implementing abstract methods. Okay. Who will implement then? You see, I cannot create an object for the direct abstract class. And now, if I have to access this members of this abstract class, what I have to do is I have to create a child class for this abstract class and implement the unimplemented methods of the abstract class. And then for that particular child class, I can create an object. Okay. Directly, I cannot create an object for the abstract class to access the members of the abstract class. In order to access the members of the abstract class, first I have to create a child class for this abstract class. And in that child class, I have to implement this abstract methods or unimplemented methods, okay, from this abstract class. And further child class, we have to create an object and access the members of the abstract class, okay, from the child class, okay. So I'm going to create an child class here for this abstract class sample C, some name I am giving, that's it. And here I'll just drag it here so that you can see this child. I'm going to make this sample C a child class of this class sample. Okay. Extends is the keyword we have to use. Okay. For making sample C class a child class of this abstract class or any other class. Okay. So once I make this particular, class that is sample C, some example class, a child class of the class sample, which is an abstract class, we'll get an error here saying that you have to implement the unimplemented methods from the parent abstract class. Okay. So here, if you hover the mouse on this, you'll get the type sample C must implement the inherited abstract method from the parent class. That is sample2 method, which is not implemented in the parent abstract class, need to be implemented in this child class. It is saying. So let's implement public void sample2. Like this, I have to implement. Okay. Now system.out.println, I have to say inside sample. Okay, inside sample. So just for the sake, I'm just giving it. Okay. Now save this. Done. Good. Looks good. So now a child class has been created for this abstract class, and unimplemented methods are mandatorily to be implemented in this child class. If this child class also doesn't want to implement this unimplemented of the parent abstract class, again, I have to make the child class also abstract. Okay. If this method is not implemented, unimplemented method of the parent abstract class is not implemented in its child class, then I have to also add abstract keyword here. Okay. This child class also have to become abstract. Otherwise, error will keep coming for this class. Either we have to implement the unimplemented method of the abstract class, parent abstract class, or I have to make this class itself abstract. And again, I have to create one more child class for this abstract class in order to implement that method. The inheritance keeps going on until you implement this unimplemented methods from the parent abstract classes. Okay, fine. Anyhow, here in this case, I've implemented this. If I don't implement, error will come, and either I have to implement that this method, abstract method from the parent abstract class, or I have to add the abstract keyword to overcome that error. If I don't want to add the abstract keyword, I'll implement the method. Okay, that's what I need to say. Again, if you mention abstract here, for this abstract class, again, one more child class you have to create, and like that. Because for abstract class, again, you cannot create object to access the members of the parent abstract class. So somewhere down the lane in this inheritance chain, like from parent, child, grandchild, like that, somewhere you have to implement this unimplemented method of the abstract class, then the journey will stop. Now, in order to access these members of this abstract class, we cannot directly create an object for the abstract class. So we'll create a child class and make the child class implement the unimplemented methods of the unimplemented abstract methods of the parent abstract class. And here, then after that, to access these members, I'll create an object for the child class of the abstract class. That is sample C, like this, SC, and sample C. Like this, I can create an object for the child class of the abstract class, and using that, I can access all the stuff. You see system.out.println. I can simply say system.out.println sc.a. I can access the variables of this abstract class which are inherited by the child class using the object reference of the child class. System.out.println sc.b. I can access sc. I can call the method sample1 sc.sample2 sc.sample3. Also, I can call. You see, all the members of the abstract class I'm able to access by creating an object for the child class of the abstract class where unimplemented methods or abstract methods of the abstract class are implemented in the child class. Okay, for the child class, we can create an object and access still. Okay, so fine. Child classes implement abstract methods of the abstract class, and objects cannot be directly created for the abstract classes. So we have to create a child class which implements that parent abstract class, and for that child class, we have to create an object and access the members of the abstract class. That's what happens. The next thing here is abstract classes are all about partial implementation. Okay, why do we say that abstract classes are all about partial implementation? Because abstract classes can contain both methods with implementation, methods without implementation. Okay, so partially they are implemented. Abstract classes are used in Java in real time when there is a need for partial implementation. If you want to implement some methods, you don't want to implement some methods. Okay, if you want to implement something in a partial way, okay, then we go for the abstract classes. Okay? So you see here in this abstract class, this method is implemented, this method is implemented, but this method is not implemented. Abstract classes can contain both abstract methods and non-abstract methods. Both can be contained inside the abstract class because abstract classes are all about partial implementation. Okay, fine. So I think I covered a lot so far. I think this much is enough for explaining about abstract keyword in Java or abstract non-access modifier in Java. Okay, if someone asks you, explain about abstract modifier or keyword in Java, you can explain all these points, guys. Okay, so starting with abstract is a non-access modifier in Java, can be used before methods and classes, cannot be used before variables. If you specify abstract modifier or keyword before a method, we cannot implement that methods or methods cannot contain the method body. They have to be just defined, okay? And a class containing at least one abstract method should also be mentioned or specified as abstract class, okay? And we cannot directly create an object for the abstract classes. In order to access the members of the abstract class, we have to create a child class for that abstract class, implement the unimplemented abstract methods of that abstract class, and then for the child class, we'll create an object, and using the object reference, we'll access the members of the abstract class, okay? And abstract classes are all about partial implementation. That means few things can be implemented, few methods can be abstract type, and they cannot be implemented. They only will be defined and they can be implemented in their child classes of the abstract classes. So this is all about the abstract classes, abstract keyword in Java that have practically demonstrated in this session. Okay. So hope you got the answer for this question. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, explain about final keyword in Java. Let me answer. Final is a non-access modifier. In Java, we have different modifiers, and these modifiers at a high level are categorized into two types. One is access modifiers, other one is non-access modifiers. And coming to the access modifiers, we have different access modifiers like public, private, okay, then default, and then protected, okay. And coming to the non-access modifier, we have static, final. Static is one thing, and then we have final, and then we have abstract. These are the non-access modifiers. As you can clearly see, final is one of the modifiers which falls into this non-access modifiers category. So final is a non-access modifier. So this final non-access modifier or keyword, when mentioned before a variable, then the value of the variable cannot be updated. The value will be the final value. Okay. So the variable almost becomes a constant. Okay. It's a constant, right? The value of the variable will not change anymore. When you specify a particular variable with final non-access modifier, the value that you will assign for the first time to this variable cannot be updated anymore. Okay. And also, the moment you mention final modifier before a variable, it is mandatory for us to initialize the variable. Okay. If you don't initialize the variable with a particular value, that is initial value, you are going to get the compiler error. Once you initialize this final variable with a initial value, then you cannot update it anymore. Okay. You cannot update the value of the variable anymore because the final means constant. Okay. The final variable is nothing but a constant in Java. The value of the variable cannot be updated. It's a final value. And the same final keyword or non-access modifier, when you specify before a method, that particular method cannot be overridden by the child classes. Okay. So if this particular method, which is specified with final, is created in the class, for that class, if you create some child classes, in that child classes, you cannot override that particular final specified method from the parent class. Okay. So that's the next thing. And the same final keyword or non-access modifier, when specified before a class, that particular class cannot be inherited by any other class, or that particular final class cannot be a parent of any other classes. So we cannot create any child classes for the final specified classes. Okay. So hope guys you got some clarity. Let me now practically demonstrate all these things for you, like what will happen when you specify final before a variable, what will happen when you specify final before a method, what will happen when you specify this final non-access modifier before a class. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE, and here I'll create a new class. Okay, I'll just name this class as uh, sample F. Okay, something sample F, random name I'm giving. Click on finish, and now in this I'll create some variables and methods. I'll just declare some variable like int a, Okay, int b like this. Now I'll create some methods. Public void sample1 is one method. Then we have public void sample2, another method. I'll create like two methods. Let's say system.out.println inside sample1 method. Here also I'll create print statement saying inside sample2 method. Okay, like this I created two methods. Fine. Now what will happen if I specify final non-access modifier before a variable? Okay. For example, here two variables are there. I'll pick the first variable and will specify the final non-access modifier before a variable. The moment I provide this final non-access modifier or specify this final non-access modifier before a variable, I'm going to get an error saying the blank field may not have been initialized. Okay, you see, I told you already, right? When you specify final before a variable, the Java compiler error will come asking you to initialize the variable. That means we have to assign the value to the variable for the first time. Initializing means the same thing, right? So assigning some value to the variable for the first time that I have to do to overcome this error. So I'll just assign some value like 10. So now if you see the other variable where final non-access modifier is not specified, there is not a mandatory that you have to initialize this variable or assign some first value to this variable. Okay, but for the final specified variable, it's mandatory. Okay, to initialize that particular variable or to initialize or to assign some initial value to the variable. Okay, otherwise the Java compiler error will come. And at the same time, this variable value cannot be updated. Whatever the value that you assign to this particular variable for the first time to this final specified variable, that value, the 10 value cannot update here. For example, if you try to do so, a is equal to 20, like that, if you try to do so, immediately I'm going to get an error. Final field a cannot be assigned. You cannot modify the value of this variable. Now, okay, variable a is initialized or assigned with the first value, that is 10. That first value or initialized value cannot be updated. Okay, that's what is final. Indirectly or directly, okay, this variable is nothing but a constant. It's not a variable anymore. It's a constant which will hold the same value throughout the program. No matter anywhere in the program, you can update this value because this is the final value or constant value. Okay, in Java, the constant value or constant can be created by specifying the final non-access modifier before a variable. Okay, how to create a constant in Java? A kind of variable. We cannot call that as a variable, guys. Okay, variable means its value keeps changing. Variable. Okay, as the name speaks, variable. It keeps varying. But the moment you specify final non-access modifier before a variable, the value, this particular thing is a constant. Okay, this a is not a variable. This is a constant now. Okay, whose value is constant. It's not going to vary. Okay, so that's what is final all about. Now, if I specify the same final non-access modifier before a method, what happens? You will not see any difference here. But this particular method, which is specified with this final non-access modifier, cannot be overridden by their child classes. For example, sample f is a class. For this class, I'll create a child class. So I'll just name this as class C. Just a random name I'm giving. And I'll just drag this so that you can see both the classes. This sample f class where we have this final modifier mentioned method. If I try to, first I will make this class C a child class of the sample f. For that, I'll use extends keyword, extends sample f. Okay, I'll simply say extend sample f. The moment I do that, the class C will become the child class of the sample f. Now, if I try to override this method in the child class, for example, public void sample1, like this, if I try to override, okay, create a duplicate method in the child class of this parent class having this, but the particular method is a final specified non-access modifier method. That kind of methods cannot be overridden. You see, you are already getting an error saying cannot override the final method from sample f. Okay, from this parent class, you cannot override this particular method because this particular method in the parent class is specified in final non-access modifier. So you cannot override it here. Okay. If you try to duplicate this in the child classes, you are going to get this kind of error. So it's not possible. I have to remove that. What about this method, which is not specified with final non-access modifier, which is not there? In that case, you can override it. Not a problem. Public void sample2, if I try to override, you see, I'll not get any error. You see, am I getting any error? No. Why? Because this one is final modified specified method, so you cannot override that. But this method is not specified with any final non-access modifier, so you can override it in the child classes without any problem. You are not getting any error. That's the reason. Fine. So that's also good. Now you understood, right? The same final non-access modifier, you can also specify before a class. What happens? You see, before I specify this final modifier or non-access modifier before this class, I'm able to create the child classes for this particular sample F class, right? Sample F class is now the parent of the class C. I'm not getting any compiler error anywhere. The moment I provide final non-access modifier or specify this final non-access modifier before a class, and just click on the save button, you see, immediately I'm going to get an error saying that the type class C cannot subclass the final class sample F. So since this class is final, it cannot have any children or it cannot become parent of any child classes. Okay, you cannot create child classes for the final non-access modifier specified classes. Okay, you are going to get this kind of error. So I have to remove the final from here. Otherwise, this error will not go off, or I just need to comment this out. Otherwise, the error will be there like that. Okay, fine. So hope guys you got an idea about this final keyword in Java. Explain about final keyword in Java. You have to start by saying final is a non-access modifier in Java, and when specified before variable, that variable will not be a variable anymore. It will become a constant. The value that is assigned to that kind of variable constant is a constant, will not change anymore. You cannot update it. And next thing is that when you specify the final non-access modifier before a method, that method cannot be overridden in the child classes. And next thing is final, when you specify before a class, that class cannot be inherited by any other classes, or this class which is specified with final non-access modifier cannot become a parent of any other classes in Java. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we create methods having body inside abstract class? The answer is yes. Inside abstract class in Java, we can create the methods which contain the method body or the method implementation. So both type of methods we can create inside the abstract class. Abstract class can contain both abstract methods, which doesn't contain the method body or implementation, just the definition of the method, or it also can contain methods which contain the implementation or method body, which are non-abstract methods. Both type of methods can coexist inside the abstract class in Java. Okay, abstract methods which doesn't contain the body, just the declaration of the method, and non-abstract methods, okay, which contain the body and implementation. Both type of methods can coexist inside the abstract classes in Java. Let me practically demonstrate this for you so that you will be able to understand the answer for this question in a better way. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE, and here, so I'll close all the previous stuff and freshly I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as some, class sample A, okay, some random class name. Just click on finish. And this class I specify with abstract non-access modifier. The moment I make this class an abstract class, inside this class, can I create the methods having the method body? The answer is yes. The answer for this particular question is yes. So we can create the methods having the method body inside this abstract classes. Public void sample1. You see, without any problem, I'll be able to implement these methods. You see, the methods contain the method body, and also I can implement. Okay, I can write some code here for sample. Instead of writing the code, I'm just writing a sample print statement in place of the code inside sample1 method. Okay, so I can also create abstract methods which doesn't contain the body inside the abstract classes. public void sample 2. Okay, so you see this one contains a body. I'll remove this body and put a semicolon here, and I'll just specify the abstract keyword. Okay, I have to specify the abstract keyword. So inside the abstract class, I can create abstract methods which doesn't contain any implementation or method body. And also, I can also create the methods which contain the method body and their implementation. Okay, both type of methods can coexist inside the abstract class. So hope guys you got the answer for this question. Can we create methods having method body inside the abstract classes? The answer is yes. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the naming convention of methods in Java? Let me answer. When you create methods in Java, we have to name that methods in this lower camel case naming convention. So what exactly is this lower camel case naming convention? For that, I'll just explain. So in order to understand what exactly is lower camel case, we have to compare the lower camel case with the upper camel case naming convention. Okay. This side I'm writing lower camel case and this side I'm writing upper camel case. So what's the difference? I'll give an example here. Okay. So if I have to name something in lower camel case, I have to name something like this. Okay. So sample method demo one. Okay. Like this. So this is one example of lower camel case. I'll also give an example of upper camel case. Sample class demo one. Okay. So this is an example of upper camel case. So if you clearly observe the difference between this example of the lower camel case and upper camel case, you can see that, for example, when you name something in Java in lower camel case naming convention, okay, if there are multiple words in that particular name, the first word will be completely in lowercase, including the first letter. And from second word onwards, the first letter of the second word onwards, it will be in uppercase. For example, in second word, first letter is in uppercase. Third word, first letter is in uppercase. Fourth word, first letter is in uppercase. Okay. Only the first word will be in lowercase. Okay. Remaining all words, first letter will be in uppercase. That is what is lower camel case means. Okay. And coming to the upper camel case, it's a small difference case. Okay. For example, when you are naming something in Java in upper camel case, so if there are multiple words in that particular name of that particular item, then starting from the first word itself, the first letter of first word will be in uppercase. For you see here sample, S is in capital case, class C is in capital, demo D is in capital, one O is in capital, for example. Okay. So here the first words, first letter is in lower case, whereas here first words, first letter is with the uppercase. Okay. Remaining all words will anyhow the first letters of the remaining words anyhow will be in uppercase in both the lower camel case, upper camel case. But the first word, first letter will be in lower case in lower camel case. First words, first letter will be in uppercase in upper camel case. Okay. I'll also give you one, example here. Like I'll show you. Okay. So upper camel case, lower camel case example I'll show you. Okay, if I go to the images with camels, why you see the naming itself we are saying is camel case. That's why the examples are given. The demonstrations are done with the help of this camel diagrams. So this is a camel, this is a camel. So lower camel case, upper camel case. Okay, so this is the lower camel case. As you can see here, the first words is completely in lower case, including the first letter, where the second word onwards, the first letter is in uppercase. Okay. And third word, fourth word, first letters will be in uppercase. But coming to the upper camel case, you see this camel has two bumps and it can have many bumps. Starting from the first word itself, the bump started. Here, the first word doesn't have any bump because it is in lower case. Whereas the first letter of the first word here also is in uppercase in upper camel case. This is upper camel case. Okay. No matter how many words are there, first letter of first word starting from the first word in uppercase. Okay. So I'm going to practically demonstrate this one for you. So you see here the question is, what is the naming convention of methods in Java? In order to create methods, in order to name the methods in Java, we follow lower camel case naming convention that I'm going to demonstrate now practically. For that, I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as demo naming convention. You see, for naming the class, for naming the class or for naming the Java project, if you can see, it's in upper camel case. Okay, click on finish. Inside this class, if I have to create a method, public void sample 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever the name, how much big it may be. You see, the naming convention of the methods will be like this. Okay, the lower camel case. Okay, this is upper camel case. Class naming convention in Java is in upper camel case, whereas the method naming convention to be used for naming the methods in Java will be in lower camel case. So I'm going to give some examples here. So what will be what all in Java are in lower camel case? I'll say variables, methods. Oh, okay, are in lower camel case. Whereas coming to the upper camel case, we generally project name, Java project name, and the class name. Few examples I'm giving: interface name. Okay, in Java, we generally follow upper camel case. Okay, so these are not mandatory, guys, but you see the naming convention, the complete industry and the software developers who are developing the Java code with the help of Java software are using these naming conventions for creating variables, methods. Okay, for lower camel case, upper camel case, they are creating the project name, class name, interface. So it's better to follow the naming convention that the entire industry is following while writing the code in Java. So hope guys, with practical demonstration, you got the answer for this question. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, how to create constants in Java. Let me answer. In order to create constants in Java, before the variable, we have to specify a keyword or non-access modifier known as final. On specifying this final non-access modifier or keyword before a variable, that variable converts into a constant. Okay, what exactly is a constant? That means whose value doesn't change. If you see the variable, the name itself says the value of that particular will vary. That's why we call that as variable. The value of the variable can be updated in the upcoming statements. Okay, but the moment you specify the final non-access modifier before that variable gets converted into a constant. Okay, in Java, the constants should and must be initialized. Some initial value need to be assigned. That's compulsory. And after assigning that initial value to that constant, the value of the constant cannot be updated. So simple answer, how to create constants in Java? By using the final non-access modifier, by specifying this before a variable will get converted into a constant. Okay. So let me practically demonstrate this one for you so that you'll be able to understand the answer for this question in a better way. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and here I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as const class. Okay. Some random name I'm giving. Click on finish. First, inside this class, I'll create a normal variable and normal method. Okay. I'll create a variable, guys. It's not a constant. Okay. Int a is equal to int a. That's it. Okay. Int a. And I'll create a method, public void. Let's say sample1 method I'm creating. Right. And in this, I'll just write on system.out.println inside sample1 method. Okay. Done. Now, do you see any compiler error asking you that you have to initialize this particular variable when I declare this variable here? For a variable, it's not compulsory, guys, okay, to initialize it. So in a class, you can create a variable without initializing it. It's not compulsory to initialize this variable at this moment. Okay. I'm not getting any Java compiler error to initialize this particular variable. But the moment I provide final here, I'll get an error saying the blank field may not have been initialized. Okay. So this variable now gets converted into a constant the moment I provide final non-access modifier before this variable. Okay. This variable got converted into a constant. Okay. And it need to be initialized. Okay. I'll just remove this final again. The error will be gone. That's good. Now, what if to this normal variable, if I assign some value and later in the program, if I want to update this value of the variable means whose value can vary. That's what is variable. If I say a is equal to 20, that's okay. The value of the a got changed from 10 to 20. It can be updated, guys. No problem. But if I specify final here, you see, I'm going to get an error here. Okay. Whatever the initial value that we have assigned to this particular constant, okay? Because of this particular thing is no more a variable, it is a constant. Whatever the initial value assigned to this particular constant, okay, that value cannot be updated. That value cannot be updated, okay? And there is one more thing, guys, okay? So when you specify final non-access modifier before a variable, the variable will get converted into a constant, and that constant need to be initialized with some initial value, and that initial value cannot be updated throughout the programs or anywhere in the programs, okay? This will be the final value, and it is a here the name of the constant is not following a proper naming convention. So what is a proper naming convention of the constants in Java? Upper snake case, okay? It is upper snake case. What is that? Upper snake case. The naming convention that the constants in Java should be named in our upper snake case. Okay, snake case. Snake case means, I'll tell you, upper means all the letters of that constant will be, for example, if I have to say first name, okay, or first number, okay, it has to be in first, and there are two words, right? The words should be separated with underscore. If you say snake means, in most of the snake cases, you'll see underscore, okay, to separate the words. Upper means all the letters in this naming is in uppercase, okay. First underscore name, first name one, let's say, okay. If you have multiple words like this, and if you want to write that naming in upper snake case, you see all the letters are in uppercase, that part is upper, and snake case means the words in this particular single name need to be separated by underscore symbol, that will become snake. Upper snake case means this one, okay. So here also, instead of naming the constant in this naming convention, we have to name it in a proper way, okay. First, let's say first number one, something like that, some random name I am giving, okay. It is in upper snake case, okay. So the value of this particular constant can't be updated, okay. Once it is initialized with the first value, it cannot be updated. It's no more a variable, guys. Once you specify final, this is no more a variable, it is a constant in Java, okay, and whose value need to be initialized, and the initialized value cannot be updated. So hope, guys, you got an idea with practical demonstration how to create constants in Java with help of final non-access modifier. By specifying that before a variable, the variable will get converted into a constant whose value need to be initialized and cannot be updated elsewhere in the program. Okay. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the proper way to access static variables and static methods in Java? Let me answer. In order to access the variables and methods in Java which are specified with static non-access modifier or keyword, then we have to access them with the help of the class name. Okay. If they are not specified, if these variables and methods inside the class are not specified with static, then in order to access them, we have to create an object for the class, and using the object reference, we generally access the normal variables and methods which are not specified with static. But if these variables and methods in that particular class in Java are specified with static non-access modifier, then with the help of class name itself, we can access. We don't have to access them with the help of object reference, or there is no need of creating an object for accessing these variables and methods, okay, with object reference. So the simple straightforward answer for this question is, using the class name, we can access the static variables and static methods in Java, okay. Let me practically demonstrate this one for you so that you'll be able to understand the answer for this question in a better way. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE. Here, I'm going to create a new class. Okay, I'll just say class S. Okay, I'll just give the name class S. Click on finish. Some sample class I'm creating, guys. Okay, inside this class, I'm going to create some variables and methods. Int A is equal to int A, otherwise, then int B, then public void sample one, I'll say sample one. This one method. Some variables I created inside this class, some methods I'm creating. System.out.println inside sample one. Okay. Similarly, I create one more public void sample two. Okay, sample two. And in this, I'm going to write a sample print statement saying inside sample two. Okay, like this, I created some variables and methods. Now, before one of these variable, I'll mention static. static keyword or static non-access modifier or static modifier, whatever you call. And before one of this method also, I will mention static. So in these two variables, one of them is static variable, other one is instance variable. It's not a static, so non-static or instance variable. Whereas this particular method, which is specified with static keyword or static non-access modifier or modifier, is a static method. Whereas other method, which is not specified with a static modifier, is nothing but a instance method. Okay, it's not a static method. Okay, non-static method or instance method. Okay, fine. Now, if I have to access these members of this particular class from outside the class, then let's say I'll create a new class. Okay, just to see whether I'm able to access these members of the class and what are the ways I can access the static members and non-static members of the class. Okay, I'll create this demo s with main method. I'll create so that inside the method I can create the objects and all. Okay, let's see what will happen here. So I'll just minimize this so that you can have more space to see the code. Here we have the class containing one static variables, non-static, which is a non-static or instance variable. And this is a static method and this is an instance method, okay, or non-static method. Now, in order to access the instance variable and instance method, which are not static type, then for that I need to create an object for the class, right? So like this new, generally we need to create an object for the class for accessing the instance variable and instance method, which are not static type. Okay, CS I will say, and I'll just declare this with classes. Okay, done. And using the object reference, I can access the variable B and this sample2. I need to access generally. Okay, if I say CS dot, okay, so here A is also coming, but that's not the right way, guys. Okay, I should not be using the object reference to access the static variable and static method, even though there is a possibility, but using object reference, that's not the right way. Okay, so what is the right way? I'll tell you. So here I'll simply say CS dot A is a you say I should not be using here CS dot A I should not be using. Why? Because A is a static variable. I should not be accessing that using the object reference. Okay, even though A option is coming, but I should not be doing that. I have to access B because it's an instance variable. I can access by creating an object and using the object reference of that object. I can access that and I can give some value here. That's fine. Okay. Now, similarly, I can call this instance method, which is a non-static one with the help of object reference. Okay. Object related stuff only will access with the help of this object reference. Okay. So here we have sample2. I can access it without any problem. Okay. But if I try to access CS.A with object reference like this, you see, you are not getting any error, but you are getting a warning message saying that the static field should be accessed in a static way. Okay, it's not the right way. It's giving a warning. It's not giving an error, but it's giving a warning. Similarly, I can call the sample1 also, but with a warning. Okay, you'll get a yellow color warning here. It's not an error saying that it should be accessed in a static way. What is the static way of accessing? If I'm not going to create an object for accessing this static variable and I'm not going to use object reference to access this static variable and static method, then how can I access? With the help of class name. What is the right way? You see, what is the proper or right way to access static variables and static methods in Java? The right and correct way is by using the class name in which they are created. For example, in order to access this static variable A, I have to access something like this. Class S, name of the class dot A is equal to 10. This is the right way, guys. You see, I'll not get any warning message this time because this is the right way of accessing. You see, I'm not getting any warning. Okay. So again, to call the method also class s dot sample1, right? Sample1 is a static method. You see, I'm not getting any warning message or error. Okay. So for accessing the static variables and static methods in Java, we have to use the class name. For accessing the non-static variable and non-static, that is instance variables and instance methods in Java, we have to create an object and using the object reference, we have to access them. So hope guys, you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration in this session. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the naming convention of constants in Java? Let me answer. While creating constants in Java, we name the constants in upper snake case naming convention. The answer is upper snake case. So let me explain what exactly is this upper snake case now. So what is this upper snake case? With an example, I'll show you. So upper snake case is one of the naming conventions We have a lot of naming conventions, guys, like upper camel case, lower camel case, upper case, lower case, okay, upper snake case, lower snake case, like that. Many type of naming conventions are there that we can use, okay. But coming to the upper snake case, we use this naming convention while naming the constants in Java, okay. So an example of upper snake case, for example, first, okay, number, sample one, like this, okay. You see, while naming a constant, okay, if that particular name contains multiple words, have to separate the multiple words, separate those words in the single name with underscore, okay. Snake case means underscores will be used for separating the multiple words in a single name, and each and every letter will be in uppercase. You see, complete uppercase. Complete. Every word here separated by underscore is again in uppercase. That's why upper snake case. So constants, whenever we create constants in Java, right? While naming the constants, we have to use this kind of upper snake case. Let me practically demonstrate this one. I'll create a constant and I'll name that particular constant in upper snake case. So let me demonstrate that. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE. Here, I'll go to one of the package and just create a new class. I'll just create a class. Okay, class N. Some sample name I am giving. Click on finish. And inside the class, let's wait. Inside the class, first I'm going to create a variable, guys. Okay, so int. If I have to create a variable, I'll create something like this. First, number demo one or sample one, whatever it is. Okay, I'm just naming some random name I'm giving. So if that is a variable, generally we'll while naming the variables, we provide lower camel case. This is lower camel case where if there are multiple words, first words complete lowercase, including the first letter, whereas second word onwards, the first letter will be in uppercase, no matter how many words are there. But the first words, first letter should be in lowercase. Okay. Only the second word onwards, the first letters will be in uppercase. This is lower camel case that we use for naming the, okay, this naming convention we use for naming the variables. So I'm naming a variable and I'm assigning some value also. I'll create a method here, public void sample one method. So in this method, can I update the value of this particular variable? Since it is a variable, as the name speaks, variable means the value of something that can vary, variable. The name itself says varying, okay? You can update the value of this variable. So earlier 10 was there, now I can update the value of variable with 20. I'll not get any compiler error, etc. But what if I specify final non-access modifier before this variable? This variable will now get converted into a constant. Okay, this is no more a variable, guys. You see why I'm not saying this particular thing is a variable? Variable means whose value can vary. You can update the value. But here, when I try to update the value of this particular constant, which is specified with final, it's no more a variable, guys. It's a constant. Okay. So final non-access modifier, when specified before a variable get converted into a constant where the value of this particular thing cannot be updated. It should be constant. That's why we call that as constant. Usually when I try to update the value, I'm getting compiler error saying that particular cannot be assigned. You have to remove this. Okay, there's no way of updating the value of this particular constant. But there is a problem here, that is the naming convention that you are using for naming this constant is wrong. Okay, for a variable, this naming convention is fine. The moment you provide final, you should not be writing like this. So everything should be in uppercase and separated by underscore. Okay, here instead of like this, you have to write first underscore. Instead of this, you have to write number, complete uppercase. Okay, number underscore. And this sample also write in complete uppercase, and here write down one. One. Okay. So this is how we have to name the constants using the upper snake case. This upper snake case naming convention. Okay. So the value of this constant, as the name speaks, constant means it cannot be changed. Okay. cannot be updated. Okay, and the constants can be created in Java with help of final non-access modifier. By specifying final non-access modifier before a variable will become constant. Okay, whose value cannot be updated anymore. Fine, guys. So hope guys, with practical demonstration, you have understood the answer for this question. What is the naming convention of constants in Java? Upper snake case is the naming convention. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the use of new keyword in Java? Let me answer. New keyword in Java is used to create objects for classes. So if you want to create an object for a class in Java, we have to use a keyword in Java known as new keyword. So how to use this new keyword in Java for creating the objects for classes? In a practical way, I am going to show you right now. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and here create a new class. I'll just name this class as class W. Let's say a random name I'm giving, class W. Click on finish. Inside this class, I'm going to create some sample variables and methods. Int, let's say price, then double mileage. The sample variables, okay? So 2 to 3 variables I'll create. String model, okay? Like that, some random 3 variables I created. Some methods also I'll create now. Public void sample 1 method. Then here I'll write some sample code inside this with the help of print statement inside sample 1 method. Okay. Similarly, I'll create one more method, public void sample 2. You can create any number of variables and any number of methods, but I'm creating 3 variables and 2 methods in this example for this particular class inside sample 2 method. Okay. So this is a class containing some variables and methods. Generally, a class in Java will enclose variables and methods. Okay. So now, if I have to create an object for this particular class named as class W in this example, I have to use which keyword in Java? New keyword. So how to use a new keyword for creating an object for this particular class in Java? For that, I'll create one more class. Okay. I'll create one more class. I'll just name this as demo W, just random name with the main method or whatever the method you can create this class. That's okay. Now, you can see this class W containing some variables and methods. And here you can see a class containing some method. It can be main method or any method. Inside this method, okay, if I have to create an object for this particular class, okay, for this particular class, if I have to create an object, I have to use a keyword known as new keyword, okay, followed by the name of the class for which I want to create an object. Class W is the name of the class. So new class W means new keyword will create an object for this particular class, okay. And after that, as per the syntax, I have to provide circular brackets and semicolon to close this. The moment I write this particular statement in the computer memory, okay, in the computer memory, like this computer memory, in the computer memory, some memory will be allocated for the object. Okay, some memory will be allocated for the object. Let's say object 1, some memory will be allocated. Fine. So, yeah. So some memory got allocated and this memory will have some memory address like, 1 0 1 1 1 0 1 0 1 1 0 1 1 0 0 1. Okay. Some memory address is there for this memory. Okay. So can you remember this memory address? Tomorrow one more object gets created and some memory will be reserved for that object. Also some different memory address will be there for the object. Like that many objects are there. Can you remember the memory addresses of each and every object? Like, can you remember all the phone numbers of your contacts that you have in your mobile phone? What do you do in order to, instead of remembering them, you will name them whenever you get a new contact of any, customer or, colleague or your relative or friends or whatever it is, you generally save them, okay, with some name. Here also, in order to refer to this location of this memory for which object, some memory allocated to this particular object, we cannot remember the memory address, okay, to locate this object in the computer memory. So what we do is we have to name this. That naming is known as object reference. So here in this case, I'll just say CW. Okay, I'm just giving some random name. This is the name that we are giving to refer to this particular object, okay, where this object is located in the computer memory. To refer to this memory address of that particular object created in the computer memory, we have to use this memory, this object reference. We generally call this as object reference. Okay, the naming given to something that has the address or location of the memory that got allocated to the object in the computer memory. Okay. So like this. Okay, fine. They have to, and here error is coming because we have to define it. We have to declare this. How to declare this with the same class name. Okay. Whatever the class name for which created object, right? With the same class name, we have to declare this object reference. So this forms a complete object creation statement. Okay. In Java, using the new keyword, we can create the object, and to refer to this object, we assign this object to the object reference, and object reference will refer to the memory location where the object actually is created in the computer memory, and that object reference need to be declared with the same class name. Okay, fine. Now, what is the use of this? Why we have to create an object? After creating an object, once we create an object reference to refer to the memory location where the object is object memory is reserved in the memory computer memory, right? Using this object reference, we can access the members of this particular class, these variables and members we can access. Now CW dot, I can get the price. Okay, you see, I can access the price variable from that particular class by creating an object. Okay, let's say I'll give some price. Okay, then CW dot some mileage. Let's say, okay, some mileage I gave. CW dot, you see, I can access a model variable of this particular class with the help of object. Okay, so I'll give some model. Okay, some model I'm giving, and then I have to call this methods inside this another class. For that also we need to use the object reference CW dot sample1, CW dot sample2, and so on. Okay, so using which keyword we can create an object for classes in Java? Using the new keyword, we can create the objects for classes in Java. So hope guys you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. What is the use of new keyword in Java? Using the new keyword in Java, we can create objects for the classes in Java. Okay. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what happens when we specify abstract modifier before a constructor in Java? Let me answer. When you specify abstract modifier or keyword before a constructor in Java, Java will give you a compiler error. Okay, it's not possible in Java to specify abstract modifier before a constructor, guys. And we are going to get a compiler error on doing so, stating illegal modifier error will come. Okay, so with practical demonstration, I'm going to show you that. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and create a new class. I'll just name this class with some random name, C demo. Okay, C demo class. Some random name I'm giving. Okay, that's fine. Click on finish. Now inside this class, create a method first. I'm not going to create a constructor. I'm going to create a method, public void. I'll just name this method as sample1. Okay, sample1. And here I'll write some print statement. Okay, so before going for the constructor, I'm going with a method. So here I'll write inside sample1. This method is implemented. This method has a method body. The moment I provide abstract modifier here, this particular method, okay, will give you a compiler error saying that abstract methods in Java will not contain the method body. Hover the mouse on this and you say abstract methods do not specify a body kind of error will come. I'll remove this. I should not be implementing the methods which are abstract modifier types. Still the error is not gone because a class containing even one abstract method also should be specified as abstract. Okay, that's the error you are getting here. You see, hover the mouse. The abstract method in type C demo can only be defined by abstract class. That means this class also I have to make it abstract type. That's fine. So this is all good for the methods, but can I specify this abstract modifier before a constructor? Let's try that. I'll try to create a constructor. What is the difference between a method and constructor? Constructor will not have return type. For example, here method has a void as a return type or any other return type the method is returning, but constructors will not have any return type. So I'll not specify any return type, like even void also I cannot specify. And the name of the methods can be anything, but the name of the constructor should be same as the name of the class. I have to take the same name. I have to give it for the constructor. Okay. Provide that, and I'll create a body, and I'll just write a print statement system.out.println inside constructor I'll write. Okay, this is the inside method, but since I provided abstract here for this method, it's okay. In Java, it's allowed to make a particular method as abstract. And once you make it abstract, the method body cannot be there or method implementation cannot be there. Then only declaration of the method is possible. But for the same thing, if you repeat for constructor and by creating a constructor body implementation and all, if you add the abstract modifier here, it will not say that you have to remove the implementation of the constructor. Okay, why? Because the constructors it's are incompatible. Constructors are incompatible with this abstract modifier or keyword. When you specify so, you are going to get a compiler error saying that illegal modifier. Okay, you are getting an illegal modifier. Why? Why constructors cannot be specified with abstract modifier? Why we are getting a compiler error saying illegal modifier and this kind of modifier is not allowed before a constructor? Why? Because even though if I make it, like this without declaration implementation, if I do so, who will implement this method? Tomorrow for this particular method, okay, abstract method, I can create a child class. In the child class, like this, I can create a child class here. Just give me a second. So here I'll create a child class, uh, child demo. I'll just simply say child demo. I'll just give some random name and click on finish. I'll show you guys, okay? If I make a particular method abstract in Java, Java will say that, okay, don't implement that method. If method cannot have the method body, only declaration part of the method should be there. Java will say, we have done so and no compiler error is there. And it asked us to make the class containing at least one, abstract method as an abstract class. We have done so. But inside the class, when you create a constructor and if you also plan to make that constructor also abstract, but in this case, Java is behaving in a different way. It's not asking us to unimplement the body or remove the body or implementation cannot be there. Only have to declare the constructor. It's not saying so. It's saying that illegal modifier. Before a constructor, you cannot specify abstract. It is saying why? Because per method, for this particular method, we only declared it, right? If I make this particular class a child class of the CDemo class like this using extends keyword, if I make this particular class a child class of this CDemo class, now inside this class, I can override this method. Okay, even though this particular method is not implemented in the parent class, the child class, okay, can override this abstract method and implement it here. Okay. So till I implement this unimplemented method in the parent abstract class, I'm going to get an error here saying to implement this sample one method. Okay. I'll implement once I implement this public void sample one. I'll implement this in the child class. The moment I implement that, you see error is gone. System.out.println inside sample. I'm also giving the reason, guys. Okay. So I'm not only saying that what happens when we specify abstract modifier before a constructor in Java, we are going to get compiler error, illegal modifier kind of. What is the reason why Java is not allowing us to specify abstract modifier before a constructor? I am going to tell you. For method, it's okay to override it. But can you override a constructor in Java? Is it possible? If I want to implement this constructor in this child class, is it possible? No, because the name of the constructor should match with the name of the class. Here if I have to create a constructor, public constructors will not have return type. Can I create the constructor having this name here like this? It's not possible because in this class, the name of the constructor should match with the class name. It cannot be CDemo. It have to be child demo here, which is not possible. This is not a constructor, right? Constructor should be created in the same class with the same name of the class. But can I override that constructor in another class? Not possible. Hence, abstract is not compatible with the constructors. It is only compatible with the methods because methods can have any name apart from the class names and hence they can be overridden implemented in the child classes, respective child classes of that particular class. But constructors, can they be implemented? Unimplemented constructors, can you implement in the child class? Not possible because the name of the constructor should match with the name of the class. So you cannot, if you have to implement this constructor, you have to implement in the same class. That's why abstract is not recommended. You have to create the body for this constructor. There's no other way, guys. Okay, there's no other way. You have to implement the constructor here itself. Okay, so you cannot just define or make the constructor abstract and then try to implement the child. That's all not possible. Hence, Java is not allowing us to specify the abstract modifier before a constructor. If you try to do so, you are going to get a compiler error saying illegal modifier. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, if I specify the abstract modifier, illegal modifier error will come. Okay, this is not possible in Java. Okay, like we cannot specify abstract modifier for our abstract keyword for constructors in Java for that reason. So hope guys with practical demonstration and reasoning, you are able to understand answer for this question. What happens when we specify abstract modifier before a constructor in Java? You are going to get a compiler error saying illegal modifier. Okay. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the use of extends keyword in Java? Let me answer. Using extends keyword, we can make a class, a child class of another class in Java, so that the child class can inherit the properties from its parent class from which it is extended using this extends keyword. So let me now practically demonstrate how to use this extends keyword in Java to make any class in Java a child class of another class from which the members of the class need to be inherited by the child class. Okay. So for that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE. Here, I'll just do one thing. I'll just close all the stuff, previous stuff, and freshly, I'll go to another package or something. And here I'll create a new class. I'll say class A. I just name this as class A, some random. Already this is there. So I'll say class X otherwise. Okay. Class X. Just giving some name, some different name. That's it. Okay. So in this class, I'm going to create some variables and methods. Int A is equal to 5, int B is equal to 10. Okay. And here I'm creating some methods, public void, method 1, sample 1, whatever you want to name. Just here, just for the sake of having some code, I'm just writing a print statement I'm writing inside method 1. Okay. Similarly, I'll create one more method, that is public void method 2. Now system.out.println inside method 2. Okay, like this I created a class and I created some variables and methods. So if I want to, okay, if I want to create a child class for this class so that the members of this class can also be part of that child class or will be inherited by the child class without the need for the child class to create these members again. So what we can do is I'll create a class, another class, let's say class Y, and I will make this class a child class of this class X. I created the class Y here. Just drag this class Y this side so that you can see both class X and class Y in the editor. And now first what I will do is, in order to access these members of this class X, okay, I'll make this class Y extends, okay, in order to inherit this, okay, in order to, for example, the same variables and methods are also required in class Y. So what I'll do is I'll make the class Y a child class of the class X as part of the inheritance in Java. So for that, to make this particular class a child class of this class X, I have to use extends keyword and I have to give this parent class name here. So the moment I provide the class name here, this class becomes the parent of this class becomes the child of this class. Okay. Now if I create an object for this class Y, the members of this, okay, class X can also be accessed with the help of the object reference of the object created for this class Y, because class Y inherits the properties or members of this class X. Okay. So I can show you that also. Okay. Now the answer is extends keyword simply. Okay. In order to make a class a child class of another class, I have to use extends keyword that I have already showed you. But the moment I do that, all the members of the parent class will be now inherited by the child class. I don't have to create them again in the class Y or child class. Okay. So I can create another class like demo XY. Okay. And here with main method, I'll create. After I do so, just drag it here. So now inside this main method, inside this main method, I'm going to create an object for this class, which is a child class of the class X. Okay, in class Y, you see there is no members available at this moment, but class Y is a child class of the class X. So all the members of the class X are now part of the class Y. They are inherited by the class Y because using extends keyword, I made this a child class of this class. Now, if I create an object for class Y, new class Y, and CY, I'll say object reference name CY, and class Y, I'll declare this object reference with class name. And using this object reference, I can access all the members of this class X, which are inherited by the child class. Okay, system.out.println CY.A. I can print it out. Okay, system.out.println CY.A. cy dot b. Then system dot otherwise cy dot. I'll directly call the method 1 cy dot method 2. Okay. Now if I run this code, you see all these members will be accessed by the child class, inherited by the child class, and they will get executed properly. You see the value of a5 got printed here with the help of the child class object and object reference of the child class object. I accessed all these things. Okay, you see everything got worked out. So hope guys you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So what is the use of extends keyword in Java? Using extends keyword in Java, we can make any class in Java a child class of another class. Okay. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can a single class be a child of multiple classes in Java? The answer is no. A single class can be a child of only one class in Java if it tries to be a child of multiple classes, that is more than one class in Java. It is not possible, guys. Okay, you are going to get the compiler error and it's not at all possible. So let me practically demonstrate this for you so that you'll understand the answer for this question in a better way. So that is the answer is no. How it is no, I'm going to show you practically. So for that, I'll create a class. I'll just name this class as class M. Let's say some random name, class M. And in this class, just for sample, I'll create a one single variable and method in a is equal to 10. Okay, public void method M. Okay, just instead of keeping that class empty, right, I'm just creating a method inside that class so that it looks good. Inside method M. Okay, now one class is created. I'll create one more class. I'll just name this as class N. Just some random name, class N. Click on finish. In this class also, I'll create some sample variable and method. Let's say int b is equal to 20, and I'll say public void method n. Okay, some method n. And here also I'll just write a sample print statement system.out.println inside method n. Okay, fine. Now I'm going to create one more class O. Let's say class O, some random name. Click on finish. Now what I want to do here is, here we have two classes, class M and class N. I'll just drag this here. Now we have class O. I'll just drag this side. Okay. Now we have class M and class N. Okay. I want to make this class a child class of only one class, that is class M, by using extends keyword. Class O extends class M. There's no problem. I'll not get any compiler error. You see, it's working fine. Class O is now extending or now is a child class of one class, that is class M. What if I say class N? Yes, class O can be a child class of class N also. The members of the class N are inherited by the class O. If I put class M here, the members of the class M are inherited by the class O. Okay, so class O either becomes a child class of class M or class N separately. But what if there is a situation where I want to make this class O not only a child class of class M, but also the child class of class N, multiple parents, let's say class O once. Is it possible? So if I provide class M, comma, class N, you see, I'm going to get an error. It's not possible in Java, guys, for a particular class to become a child class of multiple parent classes. This is not possible in Java. In Java, one class can become a child class of only another class. It cannot at a time become a child of multiple parent classes. That's not possible. Only one parent can exist. Multiple parents cannot exist for a class in Java. So class extends only one class. It cannot extend multiple parent classes. Okay. So hope guys you got the answer for this question. Can a single class in Java be a child class of multiple classes? The answer is no. Only one class it can be a child of, but not multiple parents it cannot have. Okay. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what access modifiers are allowed to be specified before a class in Java? Let me answer. First of all, we need to know about modifiers. Okay. What are the different type of modifiers we have? So all the modifiers in Java at a high level are categorized into two types. One is access modifiers, other one is non-access modifiers. Under access modifiers, we have different modifiers like public, then we have private, then we have protected, and then we have default. These are the four access modifiers. And coming to the non-access modifiers, we have static, then we have final, and then we have abstract. These are the non-access modifiers we have. The question here is what access modifiers? In these access modifiers, what are that access modifiers that can be allowed or to be specified before a class? Okay, that are allowed to be specified before a class. Which modifiers, that is which access modifiers are allowed to be specified before a class in Java? Out of these four, which are allowed and which are not allowed? Allowed ones are you can specify public and you can specify default access modifiers before a class in Java. And coming to not allowed things, the remaining two, that is private and protected access modifiers, cannot be specified before a class in Java. And if you try to do so, you are going to get illegal modifier error. Okay. Java compiler error saying illegal modifier will come when you specify private or protected access modifiers before a class. But if you specify public or default modifiers or access modifiers before a class in Java, you are not going to get a compiler error. They are allowed, but private and protected are not allowed. Let me practically demonstrate the answer for this question. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and create a new class. Just for sample, I'll create a class S. Okay, class S. You can give any name. I'm just giving class S. Now here, you can see here this is a class and this is a class name. And before this class, which modifier is specified, which access modifier is specified? Public, which is allowed. You say I'm not getting any Java compiler error. In this allowed list, we have public. We can specify public. Or if you remove that, it will become default. Okay, if you don't specify any access modifier before a class, that means default access modifier is specified automatically. Okay, default modifier, access modifier doesn't have any name. Okay, like keyword, particular separate keyword is not there for default. Like for public, we have public keyword. For private, we have private keyword. For protected, we have protected keyword. For default access modifier, we don't have any keyword. If you don't provide that public, private, protected modifiers here, access modifiers here, by default, it will become default access modifier. Okay, don't have any keyword or text that you have to type. You see, if I remove that public and with the default also, I'm not getting any compiler error. But if I try to provide the remaining access modifiers that is private or protected before this class, then I'm going to get an error. For example, if I put private here, the class will give you, Java compiler will give you the compiler error saying illegal modifier error. You cannot provide private here. Okay. Similarly, if I remove this private and provide protected, the same problem will come. You see, the same illegal modifier error will come, compiler error will come. So either you can put public or you can put default. Okay. But you cannot go with private or protected to be specified before a class. Okay, in that case, you are going to get compiler errors. Okay, what access modifiers are allowed to be specified before a class in Java? Only public and default access modifiers. Okay, so hope guys you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is the use of implements keyword in Java? Let me answer. Using implements keyword, we can make a class in Java, a child class of an interface. So here, there are two keywords, guys, that a lot of people get confused. One is implements keyword, other one is extends keyword, okay? So where do we use extends keyword? Let me show you the difference. People may either use extends keyword as part of inheritance and other one is implements keyword, okay? If you want to make a class, a child class of another class, okay? Class, child class of another class. If you want to make a class, a child class of another class, then we use extends keyword. Class extends parent class, okay? That is extends keyword. But coming to implements, where do we use? If you want to make a class, a child class of not another class, another interface, okay, of interface. If you want to make a class, a child class of an interface, then we don't use extends keyword, we use implements keyword. So hope you got an answer at a high level, okay? So using implements keyword, we can make a class, a child class of an interface. If you are making interface a parent of a child class, okay, then in that case, we have to use implements keyword in place of extends keyword, guys. So with practical demonstration, let me answer this for you. Further, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE. Here, I'm going to create a new interface first, okay? Just select an interface and I'll simply name this interface as interface A, some random name. Click on finish. Now, inside this interface, I'm going to create a variable and I'm going to create a method. Okay, like this one variable and method I created inside this interface. Now I'm going to create a class, new class. I'll say sample A class. Okay, the name of the class is sample A. I just gave it randomly. I'll just drag it here so that you can see the interface on the left side and the class on the right side. If I want to make this particular class a child class of this particular interface, or how to make this interface a parent of this sample A class, then here I should not be using extends keyword. If I use extends and followed by this interface, I'm going to get an error. Okay. You see, I already got an error. Okay. If I'm trying to make a class, a child class of an interface, I cannot use extends keyword. Okay. If I do so in Java, I'm going to get an error saying the type interface A cannot be superclass of sample A. Superclass must be a class. Here, if you have to use extends keyword, here parent should be an class. It should not be an interface. It should be a class. Okay. That's what it is saying. So how to make this interface a parent of this class? We have to use, instead of extends keyword, we have to use implements keyword. Then error will get resolved. You see, the error got resolved, guys. The reason for this error is different. So once you make a particular class using implements keyword, a child class of an interface, then this class need to implement the unimplemented methods of the parent interface. You see, the parent interface, there is one method which is not implemented. If you hover the mouse on this, you will get that. Some abstract method is there in the parent interface sample1 with the name sample1 that you have to implement it here to resolve that error. You have to override that method. Public void sample1 is a method name, right? The moment I implement that method here, at least if I provide a body for that method, which is unimplemented method in the parent interface of this class, right? The error will be gone. You see here, which keyword we have to use? Implements keyword. In order to make this class a child class of this interface, we have to use implements keyword. If you use extends keyword, you're going to get Java compiler error. Okay. If you use implements, implements is the right keyword here in this case to make a class, a child class of an interface in Java. Okay. For making a class, a child class of another class, we use extends. But for making a class, a child class of an interface, we have to use implements keyword. So hope guys, you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is instantiation? Let me answer. Instantiation is the process of creating an object for the class in Java. Okay. So it's the process of creating an instance for a class. Instance is another word for object, guys. So what is instantiation? It's the process of creating an object that is instance for a class in Java. Let me practically demonstrate this one for you. For that, I'll switch to the Eclipse IDE. Here I'll clear this stuff and freshly create some class. Okay. I'll just name this class as class P. Okay. Some random name I gave. And in this class, I'll create some variables and methods in A and here in B. And here I'll create some methods. Public void sample1 is one method. So system.out.println sample1. Inside sample1, I'm just writing some sample text here. So another method I'll create public void sample2. For example, I'm creating two variables, two methods. You can create any number of variables and any number of methods inside a class, as we know, inside sample2 method. Okay, that's fine. Now we created two variables, two methods for this particular class. Now how to instantiate? So what is instantiation? Instantiation is a process of creating an object for a class, okay, in any programming language like Java. Okay, it's not only this programming language, guys. Okay, in any programming language you take, instantiation is the process of creating an object for a class. Okay, so it's not specific to Java. Okay, so I'm just going to create a new class. I'll just name this as demo. I'll show you how to instantiate. Okay, that is how to create an object for the class. I'll just create main method. So here, as you can see here, Inside the demo class, we have the main method. Inside the main method, okay, I'm going to create an object for this class. That process is called as instantiation, guys, using the new keyword, okay? We generally in Java, we use new keyword to create an object for any class, okay? Followed by the class name and provide circular brackets, put a semicolon. And here say CP is equal to, now say class P, okay? Now I created an object for the class P. This process is called as instantiation, guys. Okay, in the computer memory, some memory will be reserved for this newly created object to refer to that memory location. We cannot remember the address, right? The address will be in one side, zero side, all that we cannot remember. So we have to give a name. This is called as object reference. This object reference refers to the memory location where the object memory is reserved, okay? And now this one has to be declared with the help of class name. This is the entire object creation statement, okay? This part is enough for creating an object, but generally people write the object creation statement like this, okay? So instantiation is a process of creating an object for a class in Java, guys, okay? And so what happens, what is the advantage of instantiation? Using the object reference, okay, after instantiating a particular class, okay, that is after creating an object for the class, using the object reference of that class, we can access the variables and methods of that particular class, okay? System.out.println, cp.a. So here I have not assigned anything, so I can see cp.a is equal to 10, I can assign cp.b is equal to 20 can be assigned, okay? Then I can call the methods sample1 method, cp.sample2 method, okay? That's it, okay? So this process is called as instantiation. Instantiation is the process of creating an object for a class in Java, okay? So, or any other programming language also. It's instantiation is not just a word specific to Java programming. If you apply this same word for Python or C# or whatever it is, same thing. In all the programming languages, they are object-oriented programming languages. We have to create objects for the classes. To create the process of creating objects for the classes in any programming language is known as instantiation. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello, welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we create object for the class inside the same class? The answer is yes. We don't have to create some other class to create object for the class. Inside the same class, we can create the object. So how to do so? I'm going to practically demonstrate in this session. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and clear out the stuff here. And I'll just create a fresh class. So I'll just give some different name for this class, okay, yum. So some random name, yum, okay, class yum, some random name, okay. Click on finish. Once I click on finish, you see the class got created. Now, generally, what happens is, let's say there is a class. Inside the class, there will be some class members. For example, int a is equal to, otherwise int a, okay? Then int b. Some variables are there. Some methods, some sample methods I'll create. Public void sample1, okay? And here I'll just write a print statement inside sample1. And I'll create one more method just for the sample. You can create any number of variables, any number of methods inside a class. That's okay. Sample2, okay? And here I'll just write a sample line of code inside this as part of implementing this method, that is sample2, let's say, okay? That's good. I created a class, guys, okay? So if I have to create an object, okay? If I have to create an object for this class, what generally people do is they create a separate class like this, okay? For example, they may create a separate class like this, demo YAML, and with this main method I'll create. Okay, so you see, in order to create an object for this class, I have created another class. Inside that, I'll create some method. It can be either main method or any method, doesn't matter. Inside that method, I'm going to create an object for this class like this, new class YAML. Okay, I'm able to create an object for this class from outside the class, right? CMN is equal to class YAML. Okay, some object reference, and I have declared that object reference is the same class. Now, using this object reference, we can access the members of this class, like cm.a is equal to then so this is CMN, not CMN. Okay, CMN dot A is equal to CMN dot B is equal to, let's say, 20. And using this object reference, I'll call the methods, that is sample1, CMN dot sample2. Okay, that's all good. Okay, so far so good. So in order to create an object for this class, I've created another class, and in another class I created some method, and in that method I created the object for this class. But the question here is, can we create object for the class inside the same class? Okay, within the class, can I create the object? Okay, here I created the object outside the class. But my question here is, or this particular question, if it comes from the interviewer, they're asking you, so within the class, can you create an object for the same class instead of creating a separate class? Is it possible? I'll close this part. Okay. Now we already know that we can create another class, in that another method will create, and inside that we can easily create an object. But my question here is, or this question asks something like this. Okay. Within the class, can we create the object? Yes, we can create the object. Let's say I'll prove you that. Okay. I'll create one more method, or I can create object in the same one of these methods also. But I'll just try to create one more method just to not disturb the things. Okay, I'll just create one more method. So within the same class, I created the method. In that, I'm going to create an object for the class in which the method is available. You see, this particular method is part of the same class, but inside that method, I'm creating an object for the class from within the class. You see, I'm able to create an object without any problem. Okay, you can do whatever. Okay, you can give some object reference name and declare that. You see, and still I can do all the stuff. Using this object reference, I can access the members of this class without any problem. C dot A, you see, the same thing is happening. Whatever that I was doing from outside the class, I'm able to do from inside the class. Okay. Within the class also, I'm able to create an object. Okay. For the same class. C dot sample1, C dot sample2. Okay. Like that and so on. Okay. Fine. So with this demonstration, hope I have given the answer for your question or for this question. So with practical demonstration, I have done that. Can we create object for the class within the same class or inside the same class? The answer is yes. So hope guys, you got the answer for this question. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what will happen if we use extends keyword to make a class a child of an interface in Java? Let me answer. If you use extends keyword in order to make a class, a child class of an interface, you are going to get a compiler error. Java is going to give you a compiler error because in Java, we should not be using the extends keyword in order to make a class child of an interface. We have to instead use implements keyword. Okay. So you are going to get a compiler error if you are going to use extends keyword in order to make a class a child of an interface in Java. Okay. And the compiler error message will something sound like parent should be a class. Okay. When you are using extends, parent should be a class. It should not be an interface. That's what Java means. Okay. So with practical demonstration, I'm going to show you or explain you the answer for this question. Okay. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and create a new interface first. Okay. I'm going to create an interface. I'll just name this as interface A. I'm going to name this as interface A. Click on finish. Once the interface is created, in this interface, I'm going to create some variables and methods just for sample case. Int A is equal to 10, int B is equal to 20. Okay. Public void sample1, then public void sample2, like this interface having some variables and methods, method declarations I created. Okay. Now I want to create one child class. I'll just name this as class I. Okay, some random name. And I'll click on finish. And the class I will be created. And now what I will try to do is I would like to make this class a child class of this interface with the help of extends keyword. Is it possible? No, you are going to get a compiler error. The answer is, if I use extends keyword and try to make the interface as a parent of this, okay, I'll copy this interface name and paste it here. After the extend, you see you are going to get a compiler error saying the type interface A cannot be the superclass of a class. A superclass must be a class, because here why this kind of compiler error message is coming, because you are using extends keyword. You have to use implements keyword. Okay. since you are using extends keyword, which is a wrong keyword for making this as a child class of an interface, Java is saying that here in place of this interface, you have to put a class. Okay, extends will make some other class a parent of this class, but not an interface a parent of the class. That's what. Okay, I have to replace this implements, guys. To resolve that, I have to replace that with implements. Still, I'm getting an error here. The reason for this error is completely different. Here you see implements is working fine. It's making this class as a child class of an interface, but the problem here is there are two undefined methods or unimplemented methods in the parent interface. So here Java compiler is saying to implement that to overcome this error. Okay, if you hover the mouse, it will clearly say that, you see, the type class must implement the inherited abstract methods. These are the two abstract methods in the interface without any implementation. If you want to resolve this error, either you have to make this class also a class as abstract, or otherwise you have to implement them. Okay, so let's implement them. Public void sample one. Okay, let's say there is some code I have written. That's okay. Okay. If it has the body, that's all, guys. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it is empty or there is some code. Okay, so fine. You see, the moment I created an implementation for these two methods, by creating some body for these methods, by overriding them from the parent interface, you see the error is gone. Okay, so here we should not be using extends keyword to make this class a child class of the interface. Instead, we have to use implements. If you use extends keyword, Java will give you a compiler errors saying here in place of this interface, you have to provide a class because you are using extends keyword, simple words. Okay, so with practical demonstration, hope you got the answer for this question. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what are the types of global variables in Java? Let me answer. First of all, in Java, the variables can be classified or categorized at a high level into two types. One is local variables, other one is global variables. Local variables are the variables which are created inside the methods and whose scope or life will be up to that particular method in which they are created. Okay. But coming to the global variables, these global variables are the variables which are directly created under the class and outside the methods. So the scope of these global variables is throughout the entire class. Till where you can access these global variables, till the class. Okay, within the class you can access these global variables anywhere. And coming to the local variables, only inside the methods in which they are created, till that method only you can access the local variables because they are created inside the methods, and global variables are created outside the method directly under the class. Okay, there's a high level categorization of variable types in Java. But the question here is, what are the types of global variables? The variables which are directly created under the class and outside the methods, which can be accessed throughout the class because they are global variables. That's why they are called as global variables, right? In that, how many types are there? That's the question. The answer is there are two types of global variables we have in Java. One is instance variables, other one is static variables. Instance means object related variables. Okay, the value of this value that will be assigned to this variable will vary from object to object. For a particular class, you can create any number of objects. For every object, if the value keeps changing for this kind of variable, that variables we make them as instance variable. For example, if you are creating objects for a car class, okay, and you have created objects for different types of cars, like first variety of car, like some brand, let's say Honda Amaze car. Okay, so that is one object you created, and then Audi, some X5, or like Mercedes, some XYZ version, like that. For every type of car, you create an object for the car class. Now, as you can know, the price of this different cars for which you created the objects, right, will change, right? So price will change, mileage will change, color will change, model will change, company will change. All these kind of things will be created as instance variables inside the class. Okay. So at a global level, those kind of variables will be created as instance variables in Java because the value of these variables keep changing from object to object, depending on the different car objects you created, right? But coming to the static variables, okay, when do you create a global variable as a static variable? When you think that for all the objects, for this particular variable, a common value is there. Such kind of variables, you create them as static variables, okay? You just specify one keyword or modifier name known as static before this normal variables, under the class, and that normal instance variable will get converted to a static variable, and it will store a common value for all the objects. Same value is there. For example, number of wheels. No matter which car you take here, right? It will contain 4 wheels. So such kind of common value like wheel, number of wheels, have to be stored into a variable which is specified with static, and static belongs to class. Instance means related to object, whereas static belongs to class memory, whereas instance belong to the object memory. Object to object, the values will change. That's why instance memory. Static, only one class will be there. Class will store the common values for all the objects. If the same value is there, why to waste the memory in the memory of all the different objects? Just store in the class memory. So static will do the stuff, okay? So I don't want to dig deep into that, but just to straightforwardly answer the question for you, the global variable, what are the types of global variables we have in Java? There are 2 types of global variables. One is instance variables, whose value keep changing from object to object, that is created for the class. And coming to static variable, whose value will be a common value, which is same for all the objects of the class, okay? Such kind of variables, we make them static global variables, okay? So with practical demonstration, I'm going to show you how to create this different type of global variables in Java. For that, I'll switch to the Eclipse IDE, and here I'm creating a new class. I'll just name this as class G, just random name. Click on finish. And once I go to this class, I'm going to create some variables and methods, and let's say, okay, first I'll create a method, public void sample1. Okay, I created a method, guys. Inside this method, if I create a variable int a, okay, int a is equal to some 10. If I say this is a local variable, guys. Okay, the variable is declared or created inside the method. Okay, it is a local variable, and whose scope, you can access this variable within the method only. Outside the method, you cannot access. For example, within the method, if I say a, it will work. Okay, you can access. No compiler error is coming, no error is coming, so it is working. What if I create one more method here, public void sample2? And in that method, if I try to access this variable a, which is a local variable to this method, is it possible to access this variable a in this another method? The answer is no, guys. Why? Because the scope of this local variable, which is created inside this particular method, is up to this method only. It cannot be accessed outside the method. So if I say system.out.println a, you are going to get a compiler error saying a is not visible. Okay, a cannot be resolved to a variable. A is not visible. It's simple words. Okay, why? Because it's a local variable local to this method only. You cannot access this outside the method. What if I create a variable directly under the class and outside any of these methods? Okay, outside any of these methods, if I create, for example, int b is equal to 20 like this. Okay, now this becomes a global variable. This is a global variable. It's a global variable. And this kind of global variable, which is directly created under the class and outside the methods, can be accessed throughout the class. Okay, the scope of this variable is you can access this variable throughout the class case. Okay, so how means, you see, within this first method, I'll try to access the variable b without any error. Things are going well. And here also in another method, if I try to access b, you see, I'm able to access this variable throughout the class case. Okay, this proves, right? But here, the question here is, what are the types of global variables? I understand that this is a global variable, but what are the types of global variables we have? There are 2 types of global variables. So for this particular variable, static modifier or keyword is not specified before this variable. This will become an instance global variable. Okay, instance global variable. What if I just create something like this, int c is equal to 30? Okay, this becomes a, once I provide static modifier before a variable, that is a global variable, this becomes a static global variable. Okay, there are 2 types of global variables we have in Java. One is instance global variable, and another one is static global variable, which is specified with static modifier. If it is not specified with the global variable, not specified with static modifier, that's the instance global variable. Okay, so fine. So hope, guys, you got the answer for this question with practical demonstration. So what are the types of global variables we have in Java? There are 2 types of global variables we have in Java. One is instance variables, other one is static variables. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we create objects outside methods in Java? Let me answer. The answer is yes. Not only we can create objects within the methods, but also we can create objects for the classes outside the methods also. There's no problem in that. Java is not going to give you any compiler error, etc. In Java, we can create the objects for a class within the method or outside the method. Doesn't matter. Okay. With practical demonstration, I'm going to prove that For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE, and here I'll create a new class. I'll just name this class as sample C. Okay, just some random name. Click on finish. So this particular class, inside this, I'll create some variables and methods. Int A is equal to 10, int B is equal to 20. Okay, like this. Just give that. And some methods also I'll create. Public void method 1. So here I'll write a print statement, system.out.println inside method 1. Okay. Similarly, I'll create one more method, that is public void method 2. So here I'll write down system.out.println inside method 2. Okay, like this I created some 2 sample variables and methods. And now I'll create one more class. I'll just name this class as demo-s. Okay, can give any name. So I'll try to create a main method. Okay. So now for this particular class, if you have to create an object, either I can create an object for this class from outside the class, either within the method or outside the method, doesn't matter. Directly under the class, I can create an object for this class, or within the method also I can create. First, I will show you how can I create an object for this class within the method. So it can be main method or any method, it doesn't matter. I'm going to create an object for this method, new sample C. Okay, new sample C. SC. I'll say 1. Okay, is equal to. So I'll just declare this with same thing. Okay. You see, I'm able to create an object for this sample C class within the main method. Okay. And using this object reference, and I can access these variables and methods now, as we always do that. System.out.println. Okay. sc1.a. I can access this variable, and system.out.println sc1.b. And here I'll say sc1.method1, sc1.method 2. Okay, like this I can create. That's fine. So next thing here is, you see, I can create object for this particular class within the method, right? And it works fine. If I run this code, you see, it will work fine. It will print 10, 20 inside method 1, inside method 2 for us. You see, output came properly. Now, what if the same thing I create outside? Okay, I don't want to create the object within the method, or outside the method I would like to create. Can I create an object for this class outside this method directly under the class? Yes, we can do that. New sample C. Okay. And then you just have to complete this object creation statement, guys. This statement is not enough, otherwise you'll get error. So you have to give the object reference and all, the error will go off. Okay. So SC is equal to, here the name of this class, I'll declare that. Once I declare that, there will not be any error. You see, I'm able to prove you that I can create an object for this particular class outside the methods. I don't have to create an object for the class within the methods. Outside the methods I can create. Now, that's fine. I'll create one more method, that is public void. I'll just name this as sample or m1 method, or m sample method. Okay, something, just some random name I have to give. And in this method, I would like to access this. Okay, system.out.println sc.a. Okay, I can access this variable. So system.out.println sc.b. I'll call this method 1 fc.method. Even though I created an object outside the methods also, I can, using this object reference, I can access all the members of this class. That is variables and methods of the class. That's fine. Now, in order for me to run this particular code by calling this method, here from the main method, I have to call this non-main method. So, but in Java, static methods can only access static stuff, but this method is not a static one. So it's a instance method. So for a static method to call an instance method, we have to create an object for the class in which this instance method is available. And using the object reference of this class, I can call this method. Directly, I cannot call. For example, if I try to call like this, from the main method, if I try to call this, I'm going to get an error saying it should be static. Otherwise, you cannot call this method. Okay. Change m sample to static, then you can call it. Otherwise, you cannot call it. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot call it. So what I'll do here is I'll create an object for this demo class. Okay. So new demo-s. I created an object, guys. By using this object, reference. Okay, I can create an object reference if you want. ds is equal to, and I'll say demo s. Okay, now ds dot what is that method? Yum sampler, yum sample method. Okay, I can call this method. Now, if I run this code, you see everything will work fine. You'll get the same output, that is 10, 20. Inside method 1, inside method 2 will come. You see everything is working fine. So we can also create an object for a class outside the methods also. Not only in the methods, we can create objects for the classes outside the methods also. Okay, this program proves that. So, and so that's all for this session, guys. Okay, so with practical demonstration, I have answered the question for you. Can we create objects outside the methods in Java? The answer is yes, we can do so. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we assign multiple values to a single variable in Java? The answer is no. In Java, it is not possible to assign multiple values to a single variable. If you do so, you are going to get a compiler error. In Java, we can only assign one value to a single variable, not more than that. If you try to assign more than one value to a single variable in Java, you're going to get Java compiler error. If variable cannot store multiple values in Java, then what in Java can store multiple values? The solution is arrays, guys. Arrays can store multiple values, whereas variable cannot store multiple values. So with practical demonstration, I'm going to show you how variables cannot store multiple values in Java, or we cannot assign multiple values to a single variable in Java. Rather, we have to go for arrays to store or assign multiple values to a, okay, multiple values to something. Okay, fine. For now, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE and create a new, right click, create new class. So I got this dialog where I'm giving some random class name, class yum. Okay, I'm just giving some random name yum. Okay, I'll just select main method. So that main method will be created. So class containing a main method need to be created here. So it's loading, guys. For the first time when I, after opening or after launching the Eclipse IDE for the first time, somehow it takes some time, but next time onwards, it will be a bit fast. Okay, fine. Anyhow, I'm going to create a variable. Let's say variable name is A, and I'm going to declare that variable with int data type. And into this variable, I can store integer values because this variable is now declared with int data type, means you can store integer values into this variable. So at a time, I can only assign single value to this variable. Okay, let's say 9, I want to assign, put a semicolon. I'll not get any compiler errors. Okay, but what if I try to assign multiple values to the single variable like 9, 5, okay, 1, 7. If I try to assign multiple values to a single variable, immediately Java will give you the compiler error. Type mismatch, cannot convert from integer array to int. Okay, it's saying that, okay, into the normal variables, you cannot store multiple values. If you have to store these multiple values into this kind of variable kind of stuff, you have to convert this into an array, guys. Okay, so you cannot store multiple values into a variable, but into an array. Okay, if you declare the same thing with and convert it into an array instead of a variable, you convert it into an array. Okay, then you can, for example, if I make it array, okay, make it an array and provide curly braces around this items, you see error will be gone. You can store multiple values into a single array in Java, but into a variable, if you try to store multiple values, okay, you're going to get this kind of type mismatch. Type mismatch cannot convert from integer array to int kind of stuff. Okay, so you cannot store multiple values into a single variable. Rather, you can store multiple values into an array. Okay, in Java. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. Can we assign multiple values to a single variable in Java? The answer is no. Instead, we'll get compiler error saying type mismatch. Type mismatch and asking us to type mismatch error, asking us to do that with array. Okay, will come. And array is the solution anyhow. Okay, so that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, what is an object in Java programming? Let me answer. Object is a representation of real world entity. So what is an object? Let me write down this here. So what is an object? Object is a object is a representation of a real world entity in programming. Okay, in programming like Java programming or any other programming languages like Python, C Sharp, wherever you go, object is nothing but a representation of a real world entity in programming. So what exactly is this real world entity? In order to understand this particular statement, which is explaining about object, first we need to understand what exactly a real world entity is. So what is a real world entity? Real world entity. Anything that you see in this real world, in this world, whatever you see, okay, that is nothing but a real world entity. For example, let's say before me, I see a lot of items, guys. Okay, so I see my laptop, okay, I see my headphones, then I can see my mouse pad. Okay, I can see a book. I can see a pen. Okay, so and a lot of other stuff I can see here, like I can see a router. I can see a photo frame. Okay, I can see a wallpaper. Okay, I can see a door. I can see some lights kind of stuff. Okay, I can see walls. I can see a window. And so on, so on, so on, so on, so on, so on. Okay, if you go outside, you will see a lot of stuff. You will see birds, you will see animals, you will see cars, buildings. Okay, all those stuff, trees, plants, whatever, flowers, whatever that you see in this real world, okay, is nothing but a real world entity. Such kind of real things in this world, real world entities, if you want to represent in Java programming or any other programming which supports object oriented nature like Python, C Sharp also, is nothing but an object base. Okay, we simply call an object as a representation of this kind of real world entities into the programming. Okay, so Java is one such kind of programming language where you can create objects to represent this sort of real world entities in our program. While programming, if you want to use this kind of real world entities, if you want to enter this real world entities into the programming, the way in programming is to create an object, guys. Okay, so object is nothing but a representation of a real world entity in the programming. Okay, fine. Okay, then there is another variation of object. Okay, to understand the object, people also say that we have to give this line as an answer, guys. Okay, the proper answer for this question, most of the people give the second line as an answer immediately. But if someone asks you what is an object in Java programming, don't directly jump to object is a instance of a class kind of answer. Okay, first mention that object is a representation of real world entity in programming. Okay, so object in programming will allow you to represent this sort of real world entities into the programming language. Okay, program while coding, you can represent such kind of real world entities into the programming. Okay, with the help of objects. That's what is object. That answer you give it. Okay, and after that you can also say that after you explain all this stuff, real world entities like this kind of stuff can be represented in programming by creating object. After explaining that stuff, you can also mention that object is also an instance of a class. Okay, to understand object, we have to understand the second line also. This should come in the second place only. First, you have to answer this one, and after that, you have to say object is an instance of a class. Okay, object is an instance of a class. So how object can be created as an instance of a class? Okay, so first we have to create a class. In order to create an object, first we have to create a class. So to understand the object, everyone has to understand what is a class. Okay. So then you will understand what is an object and how the objects can be created, how these real world entities can be represented in programming with the help of objects. You'll understand only when you understand what is a class. So what is a class then? To understand object, we need to understand class. So there's no other way. Class is nothing but class is a template or blueprint or a plan kind of stuff. Okay, class is nothing but a template or blueprint or plan kind of stuff, guys. Okay, so class is a blueprint or template or plan kind of stuff which can be used for creating objects. Okay, using this template or blueprint or plan, what we will do, we can create objects. So if someone asks you what is a class, you have to say that class is like a template or blueprint or plan kind of stuff using which we can create objects, guys. Okay, so if you have a template, what you can do, you can use the template to create a lot of things, right? So, okay, for example, I'll tell you some different examples I'll give you guys. Okay, first example I'll say, you see, you went to an engineer. Okay, so engineer, like civil engineer, I mean to say, and the civil engineer has given you a plan, okay, plan or blueprint or template kind of stuff, which contains all the things like this is a room, this is a living area, and all those stuff. Okay, this entrance is sideway, and all those stuff, windows where the windows should be there, and okay, ventilation part, everything. The kind of high level template or blueprint or plan the engineer has given. Okay, but using this plan, we can create objects. Okay, that is nothing but in real world we can construct buildings or houses with the help of this template, right? So the real world entity here in this example is a house. Okay, so like many houses we can create, not just one house. With the same plan we can create multiple houses, right? Here in this case, houses are like objects, real world entities. Okay, so class is like a template or blueprint or plan kind of stuff, okay, using which we can create objects. Okay, so it's a template means, for example, there is a car template. Another example I'll take here in this case, took the example of a civil engineer creating a plan, a template or blueprint using which we constructed different houses using this plan. Okay, so this is one thing. Or there may be another example I can give you, whereas like we can use class as a template or blueprint or plan. Okay, so here I can create a class to represent something like a car. Okay, a car should have car we should drive the car, we can stop the car. Okay, we can increase the speed, we can decrease the speed. Okay, we can turn over the we can drive the car in all the directions and all those things. So a template is there, but it is not a real car. Okay, how the car should be there, the plan is there, a blueprint or template is there. But using this plan or template or blueprint, we can create different cars in this world, right? Like a car from different model, color, okay, cost, and all those things. Another car having different price, mileage, model kind of stuff. Another car having different color, price, mileage, okay, company, model, etc. Like that, many cars can be created. Okay, here a blueprint is nothing but a class. Using this class, we can create real cars. Okay, using this class group blueprint, we can create different cars that we generally see on the road. If you go onto the road and see, not all cars are same, right? This real world cars are not same. You can see some highly priced car, some low priced car, mid-range car. Okay, and you will see SUVs, you will see sedans. Okay, so electric vehicles, non-electric vehicles, vehicles which run on CNG. Okay, so lot of varieties of cars are there in this real world, and for creating these cars, we need a template. The template is nothing but a class, but this real world cars that you see on this on the road, when you go and see on the road in the real life, right? Those are like objects. Okay, but how these objects can be created, how this kind of cars, real world cars can be created with the help of this car template. Okay, how these real houses can be built with the help of this plan given by the engineer for building this buildings. Okay, so here these plans or templates are nothing but classes, whereas the real world things that you see after building them or creating them are like real objects. Okay, objects can be created with help of class. Okay, so here the thing is, object is an instance of a class. Okay, using the class template or blueprint, we'll create the objects. Okay, to say this line, we generally say in this way, guys. Okay, this is a definition kind of line, but this is actual meaning of the line. Class is a blueprint or template or plan for creating objects. Okay, in programming languages like Java, Python, C Sharp. So simple words, instead of mentioning this line, people generally mention object is an instance of a class. Okay, object is created with the help of a class. Where class will act like a template. Using the template, some different type of objects can be created. Okay, real world entities can be created. Okay, fine. So let me practically demonstrate how to create an object and what exactly is an object and how its relation with the class. Okay, how the object will represent a real world entity in programmings and all those stuff I'm going to show you practically. Okay, theoretically, hope you understood. Okay, first of all, object is a representation of a real world entity in programming. What is a real world entity? Anything that you can see in this real world, like all these examples I have given is the real world entity. Such kind of real world entities, if you want to implement or represent in programming, we need to create objects. But how to create objects? With the help of a class. So what is a class? Class is like a template or blueprint or a plan using which we can create objects. Okay. So these are some examples. Now let's get into the practical stuff where, I'm going to create objects and class objects, and by creating objects, I would like to represent real world entities into the or implement the real world entities in programming. But how to create objects? In order to create objects, first we have to create a class, that is a template or blueprint. So here, to get started, I have to first create a class, guys. Okay. Without creating a class, can I create objects? No. We need a template or blueprint or a plan for creating objects, right? So first I'm going to create a class, guys. Okay. So class G, I'll say. I'll just give a name like car itself. Okay. I'll just name this name of the class as a car. So car template or blueprint or plan I'm creating, click on finish. Whenever I'm creating a template, right, I generally don't create main method, etc. inside the class. Okay. So you see public class name. I'm going to use this class as a creating template. Okay. So what does a car generally contain? So string car will contain company. Okay. There will be company, which company car. Okay. Model of the car. Every car will have some model. Then int, every car will have some price. Then double mileage, car will have some mileage, right? String, car will have some color, etc. etc. Lot of things will be there to define this car, right? We need a lot of variables to be created, guys. Not, you see, how can I create a template or blueprint or plan for this particular class? By creating some variables and methods. With the help of some variables and methods, I can create the template for this car class. Okay, for the car class, I'm creating a template. So here in this example, I'm taking only 5 variables, but in real time, a car will have a lot of variables, guys. Okay, and similarly, methods are like, behavior kind of stuff can be written in methods. Okay, the data can be stored into the variables, but behavior. Okay, so how the car should act, such kind of things will go into methods. So public void start car. What a car can do? We can start a car, right? Start car. Okay. So here I'll simply write down system.out.println car having the car from this particular company plus this company. Okay. Having model. What model? This particular model. This particular model has started. Has started, I'll say. Okay. That's it. When you call this method, the car will start. Okay. Car from that particular company and model will start. Similarly, one more method I'll create, that is public void. Public void. Public void stop car. Here also system.out.println car from this company having model, which model, this particular model. So I'll write down plus model as stop. Okay, fine. So then next thing is one more method, public void start car, stop car, car details. Okay, car details. Okay, if you call this method, all the details of the car should be printed. Starting from the company to the color, everything should be printed. System.out.println company of the car is which company? This company. This company. Okay, plus company data will be stored in that company variable of the class, right? So, and similarly, system.out.println model of the car is plus this model. plus model. System.out.println. Then we have price. Price of the car is less price. Okay, this particular price. Then mileage. I'll just print it out. System.out.println. Mileage of the car is plus mileage. Then this mileage is done. Then color. System.out.println. Color of the car is plus color. Okay. So fine. So the template is now ready, guys. Okay. The template is now ready. A car class template I created. Class template. Class is nothing but a template, blueprint, or plan for creating objects. So the template is now ready. A kind of structure or kind of template or blueprint, whatever you call. So that car generally has all the methods and all. Okay. Now using this class, using this car class as a template, we can create objects. How? So for that, I'll just create a method, another class, demo. I'll just name this as demo C or something. You can give any name here for the class. With main method, I'll create. You can create any method, that's okay, but I'm just using main method so that I can run this code from here. Fine. So class, and inside that method is there. Now, for using this class as a template, this car class as a template, this demo C I'm not using as a template. Okay, even though this is also a class, but car class I'm using as a template, whereas demo C I'm using it for a different purpose, guys. Okay, so car class I'm using as a template, but demo C class I'm not using as a template, guys. Okay, so here I'm using demo C to create objects for this car class, etc. Okay, so how to create an object for this class? So I have to use a keyword known as new and followed by the name of the class, that is car. Like this, you have to create an object. The moment you create an object, okay, so this is a statement that we have write for creating an object, okay, new car. And what happens in the computer memory is once you say new car, once you create an object for this class, let's say this is a computer memory. In the computer memory, in this computer memory, some memory will be reserved. Some memory will be reserved. An object will be created. For that particular object, some memory will be reserved. Okay. The moment you say new car, one object will be created. Let's name this as just call this as object one for now. Okay. For the first object that is created for this class, car class, some memory got reserved in this entire computer memory. And I'll say C. I just give some object reference. Okay. In order to refer to this memory location where the memory got reserved for the first object that you created for the class. Okay, this memory address will have something like 10111 and all those stuff. Okay, that we cannot remember, so we have to give some name. Okay, we have to refer to this memory location with not with the help of this memory address number, rather with the help of some name. We have to give some name to this objects allocated memory, that we generally call that as object reference. Okay, object reference. So the name that locates okay, that refers to the location where the memory got reserved for the firstly created object. Okay, so here I'll just say HAMZ. Okay, HAMZ is the name I'm giving, just intentionally. You can understand what I'm trying to do. So HAMZ is equal to, okay, this becomes an object reference that refers to the object, okay, that refers to the location of the object in the computer memory. Okay, this is object reference which refers to the location where object got created in the computer memory. Object memory got allocated in the computer memory. Okay, fine. So this is an object reference which refers to the memory that got allocated for this created object. Okay, so that's why we call that as an object reference. It refers to the memory location of the object. Okay, fine. Now, so object reference need to be defined. Like we define the variables with different data types like int, float, double, and all the stuff, right? Similarly, this object reference need to be defined with a class for which the object is created. Okay, you create an object for which class? Car class. So I will define this object reference with same car class. That's it. There it will be gone. Okay. Now, using this object reference, we can access all the members of this class, all the variables and methods of the class I can access. So what is the use of creating this object? What is the use of creating an object? By creating this object, I'm going to represent a real world entity in this programming. How can I, you see, I just now created an object, but how I'm going to represent a real world entity by creating an object here? By using the object reference, you see, I'll do a lot of stuff. HAMZ dot, when I say dot, all these variables of the class template are coming, company. What company this is? HAMZ is a short form for Honda. H for Honda, AMZ for Amaze. Amaze is the model. Honda is the company of the car. I'm representing a real world entity, guys. Okay. In India, we have this Honda company's Amaze model car that I'm representing, guys. Okay. So as a real world entity in programming with the help of object. Okay. Company model. We have created an object to represent a real world entity. By writing these lines, I'm representing a real world entity, guys. Okay. HMZ.model is equal to Amaze model. Okay. Amaze model. Then what is HAMZ dot? Then we have price. What is the price of this car? Let's say 9 lakhs is the price of the car. 9 lakhs in Indian rupees. Okay. Then after that HAMZ dot mileage. What mileage does the car give? 14.37. Okay. Some double value. That's why I declared that as double here. And color of the car. So what is the color of this car that you see in this real world? Even Honda Amaze has a lot of colors. I'm just choosing one color. Let's say gray color. Okay. That's it. So like this, I'm creating an object. I'm representing a real world entity. Honda Amaze kind of car, real car I'm representing by creating an object for this car class template. Okay. Now, not only that, we can also start this Honda Amaze car. We can also stop this Honda Amaze car. And also we can print all the details like starting from company model, all the things that we have assigned, right? The details we can print it out by calling this car details. How to call this methods inside this class? Already we create an object, right? Using the same object reference, not only we can assign the object related, that particular object related data to this particular variables of this class. Okay. So to create a real world implementation of the car, of this Honda Amaze car. Okay. We create an object and we assign some values, and similarly we can call the methods HAMZ.start. Which car will start? If I say HAMZ, already the values are assigned. Okay. So the start car. So car from company. Which company? Company we mentioned here, Honda. Car from Honda having model. Which model? Amaze is a model. Having model Amaze has started. Has started will be printed. Similarly, if you call this stop car method, same thing will happen. HAMZ dot stop car. So here car from company. Which company? Honda. Having model. Which model? Amaze has stopped will be printed when I call that method. Similarly, to call the third method, whatever the number of methods that are there in this template, okay, HAMZ dot car details. If I say car details, this method will be called using the object reference of this object. And because of that, company of the car is which company I gave Honda. Model of the car is which model I gave Amaze. Price of the car is which price I gave 9 lakhs. Mileage of the car is 14.37. Color of the car is a gray color. Like that, everything will be printed. That's okay. Okay. So there is one object I have represented so far. Okay. I've created one object, guys, to represent a real world entity like Honda Amaze kind of car in this programming. I have to create an object. Okay. I have created an object for this part using with the help of the template. Okay. Similarly, I can create any number of objects. Only one class template is there, but using this class template, I can create any number of objects. Here only car class is there. For that, I can create any number of cars. First car I created, I'm going to create another car now. New car. Okay. So the moment I say new car here in the computer memory, some memory location, memory space will be allocated for this second object, object 2. Okay. This is the second object created for that car class. And what will be stored in this memory location? Already I gave the values, right? I gave the values here. Company is equal to Honda. Only those details will be, okay. Company is equal to Honda. Model is equal to Amaze. Then what is that? Price. Price is equal to 9 lakhs. Then mileage is equal to 14.37. Then color is equal to gray color. All these details got stored here, okay, in this object 1, for which HAMZ is the object reference. Now I'm creating another object. The moment I say new car, some memory will be allocated for the second object. And again, the same thing, guys, I have to give the object reference here. So I'll give another object reference here. Let's say HYI20, okay. HYI20 I'm giving. So I'm just have this is object reference. So the moment I say object reference here, the name that we can use for referring to this location of this memory, okay, allocated for the object 2. So this is nothing but HYI20, right? HYI20. Okay. So what happens here? I have to declare this object reference with the same class type for which object is created. And after that, using this object reference, I'm going to represent a real world entity like HYI20 dot company. What is the company of the HYI20? Hyundai. Okay, Hyundai company. Okay, car company is Hyundai. HYI20 dot model. What is the model? Model is I20 is a model. Okay, I20 is a model. Then HYI20 dot price. What is the price? Let's say 12 lakhs is the price. 12 lakhs in Indian rupees. Okay. Then HYI20 dot mileage. Mileage is 11.45. Okay. This is a mileage. Then HYI20 color of the car. What is the color? The car has I20 dot color. Color is equal to, let's say, white color. Okay. Done. Then I can also start this Hyundai i20 car. I can stop the Hyundai i20 car, and I can print all the details of this Hyundai i20 car. For that, HY i20 dot start car, HY i20 dot stop car, HY i20 dot car details. So if I run this code, you will see that two objects got created, guys. And in this memory allocated for this particular object, what values will be stored? This object related values will be stored. The same values will not be there. For example, you see company is equal to Hyundai. Then model is equal to I20. Then price is equal to 12x. Then mileage is equal to 11.45. Then color is equal to white color. Okay, like this. Whatever the respective values of this particular object, representation of the real world entity will be stored in this memory allocated to the object 2. Like that, any number of objects you can create. Okay, here for example, I'm creating only 2 objects, but you can create 100 cars, 100 real world cars you can represent with the help of this car class template. We can create this kind of 100 objects. Each and every object has its own properties. Honda, Amaze, this one has different values, and so on. Okay, fine. So if I run this code, you can see that in the output, all these things will be printed. Okay, so you see, all the methods will be called. Car from the Honda having model Amaze has started. Honda Amaze has stopped. Company of the car is Honda Amaze 9 lakhs 14.37. Great. And car from the Hyundai having model second object related stuff. This one. Okay. I20 has started, stopped. Hyundai I20 12 lakhs 11.45 byte. Everything was printed. Okay. So to represent a real world entity in Java programming, we need to create objects. But in order to create objects, first we have to create a class template. Okay. We have to create a class. That class is nothing but a template or blueprint or plan using which we can create this kind of objects. We can create any number of objects using the new keyword and class name. We can create any number of objects for this class. Okay. And why we are creating objects? To represent the real world entities. Okay. In the Java programming, if you want to represent real world entities, real cars, if you want to represent, we need to create objects. Okay. So hope guys you got a idea like what exactly is an object in Java programming. Object is a representation or implementation of a real world entity in programming. It's an instance of a class. It's created with the help of a class, while class is a template or blueprint or plan for creating objects. Okay. So with practical demonstration, I have clearly demonstrated what exactly is an object. Okay. Fine. So if you want to have this code like car code and demo class code, okay, I'll share that in the description. Okay. In the description for this video, I'll share this code. Okay, you can check the code. Okay, for this particular video. Fine. So the code will be provided. You just look after. Fine. So in the notes or something, I'll give the code. Okay, for this particular thing. Fine. Okay. So this what is an object, guys. Okay. So fine. That's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we declare multiple variables in a single line in Java programming? The answer is yes. We can declare multiple variables in a single line in Java programming. And here is an example of that. So here we have 5 variables in this example, A, B, C, D, E, which are separated by comma, and they are written in a single line, and they are declared also in a single line, okay? Int A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D, comma, E. This statement has declared 5 variables with int data type in a single line. Let me now practically demonstrate the same thing for you. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE. I'm going to create a new class. I'll just name this class with some random name like class C. I'll also auto-generate the main method code in Eclipse IDE. Once the class is created and method is created, okay, if I'm not going to declare all these multiple variables in a single line, I have to do something like this, okay? Int A, int B, int C, int D, int E, okay? Now, how many lines have to write to declare these 5 variables with int data type? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And if you can clearly observe, all these variables have the same data type. They are not declared with a different data type, same data type. Now, is it possible that instead of writing these 5 lines, because the data type that I have to use for declaring all these 5 variables is same, is it possible for me to declare all these 5 variables with int data types in a single line? The answer is obviously yes, guys. Okay. Here I can simply write int A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D, comma, E. Instead of writing this many lines, okay, I can write something like this. Int A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D, comma, E. Now all these variables are declared with the same data type int. But what if this is not the case, where one of the data type is int, another is double, okay, another one is like here, some other thing is, char, other one is like boolean. If this is the case, it won't be possible, okay? If this is a case where different variables or multiple different variables here we have are declared separately with different data type, is it possible for me to declare them in a single line? In this case, it is not possible, but only the case it will be possible is where all the data types are declared with the same data type. All the variables are declared with the same data type, that is either int or whatever it is, okay? Every variable should have the same data type declared. Then it is possible for us to declare all these variables in a single line with the same data type, okay? That is int or whatever it is, okay? So hope guys you got an idea with practical demonstration and you got an answer for this question. Can we declare multiple variables in a single line? The answer is yes, if all the variables are to be declared with the same data type. Okay, the answer is yes, only if all the variables that you want to declare in same line are to be declared with same data type. Then the answer is yes. If you have to declare these variables with different data types, then the answer is no, guys. Okay, the answer is no also for this question. If in case if the variables to be declared in to be declared if the variable to be declared in same line are to be declared with different data types, then the answer is no. Okay, the variables to be declared with same data type, the answer is yes. If the variables to be declared with different data types, then it is not possible to declare all these variables in a single line if the data types with using which we have to declare multiple variables are different. Okay, so you can answer, okay, mostly you can answer yes, and also you can give the reasoning for no later. Okay, so fine. So hope guys you got the answer for this question. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we create duplicate variables in Java programs? The answer is both no and yes, though most of the interviewers will expect no from you. So we have to give the answer with saying no, but I also say in the beginning that there are some exceptions where that is possible in Java programs, okay, to duplicate the variables. Anyhow, I'll explain that cases like where it is possible to duplicate the variables in Java programs, okay, later. But for now, let's go with the no case. When it is not possible to duplicate the variables in Java programs. So when you try to duplicate in such kind of cases in the no case, you are going to get a compiler error from Java saying that duplicate variable message, okay? Compiler error will come, okay? So when the duplication of the variables in Java programs is not possible, when you are trying to duplicate this variable set same level, either at the local level inside the same method or at the global level outside the methods. Okay, you're trying to duplicate the variables or create duplicate variables with the same name, either in the same method. In the same method, you're creating the variable twice. Then you may get then you will get the duplicate variable compiler error. Or if you are trying to duplicate them at the global level directly under the class, if you create a duplicate variable name and all, then also you'll get this duplicate variable kind of compiler error message. Okay. So, but there are some cases where it is possible, guys, okay, to duplicate the variables in Java programs. That is, let's say you are duplicating the variables at different levels. One of the variable you are declaring in the local inside the method, okay, as a local variable you are creating, and another variable with the same name you are creating directly under the class outside the methods with the same name, then it's okay. Okay, then it's possible case. Okay, Java will not give you any compiler error. And another case where you can duplicate the variables in Java programs is, for example, in one method you created the variable with one name, and with the same name you created the same, you created the variable in another method. With the same name of the variable, you created that variable in another method. These two methods are different. Since these variables are local to that particular method, their scope is up to the method. It's okay to create duplicate variables when they are part of different methods. Okay, fine. But it's not possible to duplicate the variables when they are at the same level. That is at the local level in the same method or the global level. Okay. So let me practically demonstrate all these cases for you so that you'll be able to understand the answer for this question in a better way. For that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE, and here I'm going to create a new class. So I'm going to name this class as class, say class D as the random name I'm giving, and with main method I'm creating, finish. Okay, so fine. Now guys, so whatever I'm saying, right? So if I try to duplicate the variables at the local same level, that is local level, okay, local to this method. This main method is a method. Inside this, if I create a variable, that becomes a local variable for this method. For example, if I'm creating int a here, okay, already created the variable with the name a got created. With the same name, if I'm creating again, you see, I'm going to get a compiler error saying duplicate local variable a. So at the local level, you're duplicating the variables inside the same method, then you will get the compiler error. It is not possible. You see the no case. Okay, you will get the compiler error. Or there is a case where you create the variable here, for example, int b. Again, int b at the global level. You see, immediately when I create the second variable, I'm getting an error, duplicate field. Okay. At the same levels, you cannot duplicate, guys. Okay, here variable a is duplicated at the local level inside the same method, and variable b is duplicated at the global level at the same level. So it's not possible to create the duplicate methods. Okay, so that's what is the thing. That's what is the first thing. Okay, either at the local level inside the same method and global level, we cannot duplicate. In both the cases, you will get the compiler error saying duplicate variable kind of duplicate field kind of message. Fine. Now the S case where you can duplicate clearly. When duplicated at different levels. For example, you create a variable a, local variable, and the same variable you declared at the global level. Now, this is a local variable, this is a global variable, so no problem. No problem, guys. You can duplicate, okay? You can even keep it static also, not a problem. Okay, you see static variable a, because this method is also static, right? So I'll give the value 10 here and I'll give the value 20 here. Then what will be considered, 10 or 20? Which one will be considered? Okay, when I print it out inside this method. If I try to print out this one, 20 will be given the preference, guys. Okay, a is a global variable. So since the local variable, the method also has its own variable, so this will be given preference by this method. So when I run this code, 20 will be printed, okay, instead of 10, 20. Even though I duplicate it, 10 is not considered here. But if this particular, method doesn't have any variable declared, in that case, a global variable will be considered here. 10 will be printed in this case, okay. If there's no variable inside it, then global variable will be given preference. Now you can clearly have seen that the variables can be duplicated at different levels like local and global levels. Okay, and there's one more way where this is one method. I'm going to create one more method, public static void sample method. I'm going to create this is the one method. This is another method. Okay, now at the local level also, we can duplicate the variables if the variables are declared in different methods. Okay, that means if I declare the variable here int a, here also if I declare the variable int a with the same name, no problem, because this variable is declared inside this method. This variable is declared inside this method. This is a local variable. This is also local variable. Local variable means local to this particular method where it's created. The lifespan or scope of this variable is up to this method only. Outside the method, you cannot access. Okay. So this variable also is local to this particular method, and the lifespan or scope of this variable is up to this method only. So in that case, this variable and this variable don't interfere. That's why we can also duplicate the variables. Okay, at the local level if they are part of the different methods. If they are part of the same method, then compiler error saying duplicate variable error will come. If they're part of the different methods, no problem. Either at the different levels or different methods, no problem, guys. It's possible to duplicate, but if they are at the same level, local level in the same method or global level, then compiler error, it's not possible to duplicate the variables. So hope guys with practical demonstration, you got a detailed answer for this question. Can we create duplicate variables in Java programs? The straightforward answer is no, guys, but also you have to say that there are some S cases. Okay, after answering the no cases, you have to answer the S cases. Both no and S is the answer. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye. Hello all. Welcome to this session. In this session, I'm going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we assign value to multiple variables in a single line in Java? The answer is yes and no both. Okay. So why yes, why no? I'm going to explain now. Okay. So most of the people give the answer as only yes. And most of the interviewers will also expect you to give the answer as yes. Okay. Because there's no problem in that, because it's possible in Java to assign a value to multiple variables in a single line. So if it is yes, it is yes only, right? But we also have to talk about the no case when it is not possible also. Okay. So I want to give you a better answer. Okay. If you get this kind of question in the interviews, if you want to give a better answer, you have to better answer both yes and no cases. When it will be yes and when it will be no also, if you answer, then you are a better person, better way you can answer that question. Okay. So the interviewer may also expect yes from you, but still if you can give an answer for no and reason for that, then the interviewer will get impressed by your answer. Okay. You have to give the reasons. Without reasons, it won't work out, because the interviewers also will think that the answer is only yes, but you have to convince them saying that it's both yes and no. In what case it is yes, in what case it is no. If you are able to answer, then interviewer will get impressed. Okay. So in what case it is yes? In what cases you can assign a value to multiple variables in a single line in Java? When all these multiple variables are of the same data type, then it is possible to assign a value to multiple variables in a single line. But if one or few of that particular multiple variables, list of variables in that multiple variables have a different data type, then it is not possible to assign a value to multiple variables in a single line if any of these variables in that multiple variables list is having a different data type. Let me show you this in a practical way. Further, I'll switch to Eclipse IDE and going to create a new class just for, some random class just for demonstration purpose. I'm just giving a random name. Click on and just select auto generating the main method in Eclipse IDE here for demonstration. And here I'm going to create some variables. I'm going to declare them with same data type, int A, int B, int C, okay, like that. Some multiple variables I created, guys, of same data type. Now if I want to assign a value to these multiple variables in a single line, can I do that? A is equal to B is equal to C is equal to 3. Is it possible? Yes. You see, I'm able to assign a single value to these multiple variables in a single line. I can print it out using system.out.println A, system.out.println, system.out.println B, system.out.println C. Okay, like this I can write. So what will be printed in the output? For A, 3 will be printed. For B, 3 will be printed. For C, because same value is assigned to multiple variables in a single line, and it is working fine if all these variables are declared with the same data type. You see, 3, 3, 3 got printed, is working fine. If you make one of these variables of different data type, for example, if I make this as Boolean, the moment I make it Boolean, you see, I'm getting a compiler error saying type mismatch, cannot convert from int to Boolean. One of the variable is of a different data type, so cannot assign a value to these multiple variables in a single line. Even you make it short also, a similar kind of data type if you give, okay? You see 3 can be stored into the B if you did it individually. If I say short B is equal to 3, it would have been possible. But if you are assigning this value to multiple variables in a single line, make sure that all these variables are of same data type. There should not be even a small deviation in the data type. Okay. Okay. So same data type, it's mandatory, guys. You see, again, you are getting type mismatch, cannot convert from int to short. Only one type of value will go here, okay? So they should be of the same data type. There should not be any deviation in the data type. All the variables should be declared with the same data type. Okay, if you want to assign a value to multiple variables in a single line, if that need to be possible, all the variables should be of the same data type. Okay, then only it is possible. It is not possible if any of the variables in that particular multiple variables are of a different data type. Okay, then it's not possible. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye bye. Hello all, welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer one of the Java interview questions. That is, can we create duplicate classes in Java? The answer is both no and yes. When it is no and when it is yes, I am going to explain now. So first, let's go with the no case. When it is not possible to create duplicate class in Java, if you're trying to create these duplicate classes having the same name inside the same package of the Java project, then it is not possible. Okay. If you're creating the classes having the same name as part of the same package of the project, then Java will not allow you to create the duplicate classes. You are going to get a compiler error in this case. Okay. You are going to get a compiler error saying duplicate class. Okay. You cannot create duplicate class. Already a class having the same name exists, kind of compiler error will come to you. But what if there is another situation or scenario where inside the same project, you create multiple packages, okay, different packages you create, and the class you create in one package, and with the same name, with the same class name, if you create another class in another package, even though they are duplicate of each other, but they belong to different package. So compiler will not give you any error. Okay. Since they are differentiated using the package name, class can have the same name when they're part of different packages. Okay. Because packages will make them different. Even though the class names are matching, but package names are different, means it's all allowed in Java, guys. Okay. Packages will differentiate this duplicate classes. They will not consider them as duplicate classes, even though they have the same names. Okay. So within the same package, not possible. Okay. In different packages, it's possible to create duplicate classes in Java. Okay. With practical demonstration, I'm going to show you now. So for that, I'll switch to this Eclipse IDE, and I'll just take some packages here. I'll just create a new package otherwise. Okay. RPack. Okay. Some different package name I'm giving. RPack. RPack already exists. I'll just give another package. Okay, vpack I am giving. Click on finish. So some package name I give, and in that I'm going to create a class. I'll just name this class as sample with okay. Click on finish. Sample class will be created. You see, inside this vpack package, I created a sample class. Again, in the same package, if I try to create the same class, again the sample class. You see, here it's already okay. Java class type already exists. Okay. So it's saying type already exists. You cannot create case. Okay. If you try to do that, you say I'm not able to create case. Okay. If I try to do so, public class, otherwise class sample, if I try to do so, okay. As part of the same package, it's not allowing me anyhow. Eclipse IDE is not allowing me, guys. Okay. I cannot create case. I cannot create. Okay. I cannot create a class having the same name. You see, when I try to do so, the type sample is already defined here. Okay. You cannot create it, is saying. You cannot create the class having the same name inside the same package. If I try to give a different name for this class, like sample A, finish, then it will allow. Okay, these classes have the same different name, but if I change it to same name, I'm going to get a compiler error. Public, okay, rename here. If I try to rename, it's not asking me to rename also. I cannot rename also. Okay, so Eclipse IDE will stop me, guys. Okay, it's by doing so. You see, sample class already exists. You cannot do that. It is saying, okay. You cannot create the class having the same name inside the same package. It's not allowing me. I tried my level best in creating, class having same name inside the same package, but duplicate classes are not allowed inside the same package. So Java, this Eclipse IDE is not allowing me to create, because in Java it's not possible for creating duplicate classes in a single package. Okay, what if I do something like this? This class is part of V package. I'll create one more package here, wpack, let's say. And in this, if I try to create the class with the same name, is it possible? Yes, this is possible. You see, it's not giving Eclipse ID this time is not giving me any error. It's allowing me to create a class, uh, duplicate class inside a different package. Now the sample class matches, but sample class is part of this V package, whereas this sample class is package part of the W pack. Since they are part of different packages, it's possible, guys. But if I try to move it here, say okay, okay, already exists. Sample.java exists in selection. Do you want to override? So I'll say no to all. Okay, it will not be copied. Okay, so you cannot create duplicate classes in the same package, but you can create duplicate classes across multiple packages. Okay, in different packages you can create duplicate classes, but in the same package you cannot create duplicate classes. Okay, class having the same name cannot be created in the same package. Either you will get the compiler error or the Eclipse ID kind of tools will not allow you to create such kind of. Okay, so I try to show you the compiler error also. Okay, the class already existed. I was saying. Okay, within the same package I tried to write the code, right? So here, somewhere here, already the class is there. If I try to create another class sample here with the same name, you see, you got the compiler error also. Okay, and first of all, Eclipse ID is not allowing me. If I overcome the features of Eclipse ID and come back here and in the same file, in the same Java file, if I try to create the same class, duplicate class, the type sample is already defined kind of compiler error is coming. It's not possible, guys. Okay. Either you'll get a compiler error or Eclipse ID will stop you from creating duplicate class. That is class having the same name inside the same package. If they are part of the different package, Java will allow or Eclipse ID will allow, everything will allow you, okay, to create duplicate classes across different packages. It's allowed, but within the same package, it's not allowed. So with practical demonstration, I've answered this question for you. So that's all for this session. Thank you. Bye-bye.